The virtual game scheme has attracted a record 50 million players online, and also 400 million users in the first month since release. And such success could only be explained by one reason. It was the perfect virtual reality. Even those who previously turned up their noses at games became fascinated with the game. Now people could enjoy the sea breeze without leaving their apartments. One of the former skeptics was our main character. But now Mario, like many others, was enjoying the game to the fullest, and his game character was named Mose. Suddenly the guy heard someone speaking to him sharply. Mechanically, he turned his head in the direction from which the strange voice came. The disgruntled players asked the guy to leave if he continued to stare into space, as he was interfering with their work. Then Mose apologized to them, but the players once again asked the guy to stay out of the way. When the game became successful, the in-game currency and items became more important than real currency. At the moment, there were 3 ranks for artifacts in the game. Magical artifacts were valuable because they gave extra points that could be used to level up. Leveling up significantly increased the player's physical ability, and the price of even the weakest magical artifact was estimated at no less than 10 million won. However, the rare artifacts were shrouded in mystery. After all, no one received them since the release, and there were only rumors about them. Because of this, the magic rank was now the most prestigious, and slimes were the weakest monsters from which an artifact could be obtained. Because of this, many players hunted harmless slimes in the hopes of obtaining an artifact. Such people were called slime cleaners, but the chance of getting a magical artifact is extremely small, and time after time the players failed. Mose had been hunting slimes for 2 months already, but he never received any artifacts during this time. While in town, Mose was surprised that he was offered too little money. It turned out that everyone was carrying mucus now, so there was an abundance of it. Mose was upset that the price had been cut in half in one day, but they weren't willing to offer him more. The guy had to agree to less pay, which spoiled his mood. He hunted all day, and only earned 20 silver coins, which was worth only 20,000 won. Moreover, due to constant hunting, the slimes became less and less numerous. Because of this situation, Mose withdrew into himself. For the past 2 months he had been hoping to knock some item out of the slimes, but he only earned 5 gold coins and a sword that was soon to break. But 5 gold coins won't be enough to buy a new sword. Then Mose turned his gaze into the distance. Suddenly he thought that this game was stupid, because everything was decided by luck. For 2 months, Mose worked hard to save up for college, and if he knew that everything would be like this, he would have simply scored and enjoyed the game. Or I would devote more time to part-time work or other things. It was a brief moment of weakness for Mose. At that moment he thought it was time to end it. But before that, he decided to go into his inventory. 5 gold coins were equivalent to approximately 500,000 won. It would have been better to withdraw this money, but Moses felt bad about changing it. Since he was planning to quit the game, he wanted to do something unusual before leaving. It was at that moment that he heard a noise not far from him. Not far from him, a crowd of people had gathered and were making noise. People crowded around one player and asked him to quickly open something. But the guy was shaking with fear and hoping that he would be lucky for the 9th time. However, he got a talking fish with a human face. Instantly, people around started making fun of the poor guy. Because of this, Mose concluded that the event was similar to a lottery. Suddenly, the man in the center said that if the guy had continued playing, he would have won something, but he gave up. And then the man asked if there were any other people who wanted to win a real treasure for 5 gold coins. But Mose immediately decided that it was a robbery. At that moment, the man noticed our hero. Because of this, the entire crowd immediately turned their attention to Mose, waiting for his answer. Obviously, the guy wanted to refuse the offer immediately. But the man asked him not to be afraid, because he felt that Mose was special. And he also claimed to see it. According to him, a source of luck was hidden in Mose. The man admitted that he was waiting for a person like Mose. When Mose was surprised by these words, the others replied that the man had already said that. But the mysterious man only laughed at this. Despite what he heard, Mose didn't care and was willing to try his luck. But soon after that, the guy locked himself in his room. He had to get out of the crowd that was pelting him with insults. The last of his money was spent, and Mose was both happy and sad that he would soon be leaving the game. In fact, he didn't even have any good memories of the game, because he only hunted slimes. Then he decided to check the contents and exit the game. But suddenly he discovered there an object previously unknown to him. He continued to look at the glowing stone in surprise. It seems that a valuable artifact has appeared in his inventory, and it is even possible that it was valued at a larger sum. Mose was very surprised, because this had never happened to him before. But suddenly more light began to come from the stone. There was so much of it that passers-by noticed the window of Moses' room, and the light from the stone only grew stronger. This uncertainty even scared the guy, but then he noticed that a necklace had fallen out of the stone. Moses was given a rare pendant, the Star of Florin. It is quite obvious that he was very surprised by this. There was even a TV show dedicated to the game, hosted by a famous Korean streamer. And in the new issue, he talked about a new item among the artifacts. He said that the item had recently been bought, and it was the highest price for the entire auction. Inas's ring was purchased for 72 million won. It was rumored that the ring dropped from the boss of the northern region. Many were surprised that the most valuable artifact to date was bought for such a sum. Someone was unhappy that for that amount of money they could buy a new car. According to the presenter, the second item had a top effect. The Langerous Cavalcade necklace gave a strength bonus and sold for 40 million. Previously, Mario believed that a world of such prices was very far from him. But now in his hands was one of the most valuable things. The guy seemed unable to believe that he had received such an item. In many games, rare artifacts were considered trash because there were better items. But in this game, everything was the other way around. The most valuable items at the auction so far have been magical ones. And it turns out that in Moses' hands it could have become the first rare artifact in the game. At first, the guy laughed nervously at this thought. But afterwards he was delighted that he had hit the jackpot. Tears of happiness even appeared in his eyes, and then he leaned forward slightly. And sitting on the floor, he thanked the star for coming to him. But at that moment he thought about something. He suddenly wondered how much this thing cost. Given the item's characteristics, Mose was confident that he could get 100 million for it. And that meant not having to worry about paying for college. And also, Mario will be able to afford good housing. Moreover, that money would even be enough for a car. At that very moment, the guy decided to enter the auction. But suddenly he stopped and thought. In fact, he was interested in trying out the new item. He knew that even 3 extra points made a good player out of a man. Before this, Mose couldn't even crush a slime. And by using this thing, Mose had a chance to become a high-level player. However, the guy remembered well everything he had to go through. Many would have sold the item in Moses' place. But after what happened, he wanted to please himself. Besides, he believed that he could always put the item up for auction. Seeing his low performance, the guy sighed heavily. But as soon as he put the pendant on himself, a bright light appeared around him again. Due to the sudden rise to a new level, the guy experienced pain. And then he stepped back, and he fell down on his bed exhausted. Then he realized how much pain people experienced when rising to a new level. But the pain was simulated too realistically. Going into the inventory, the guy took a coin from there and squeezed it. Mose then understood why everyone was going crazy over the artifacts. And then he suddenly got up from the bed. The guy became interested in trying the artifact in action. There have always been many people in the center of the continent. Mose was surprised, although he knew that everyone here was rich. Suddenly he wondered if he had thought too much of himself to come here. After all, besides the artifact, he only had an old sword, and with such equipment it would be difficult to find a team. He was looking for a solo quest until someone suddenly spoke to him. Then he turned around in surprise, and he saw a girl archer in front of him. She immediately guessed that the guy needed a team. The guy was confused by the fact that she spoke to him. Then the girl said that there was just a free spot in her squad. Meanwhile, her allies awaited her return. The man was unhappy that Sharon had disappeared somewhere, and they were at risk of missing the raid. But the guy suggested waiting a little longer, because Sharon understood what she was doing. It was at that moment that they heard the girl's voice. Sharon immediately asked to say hello to the person she had brought, but the man was surprised to see the guy. Mose had a beginner's gear and his sword was about to break. The man then asked her if she thought she had brought a weakling, but the girl asked not to look at appearances, which can be deceiving. Noticing the guy in the square, she was also surprised, but she felt that the guy was superior to everyone around him, and she was able to notice this with the help of her keen eye. At that moment, someone approached them, and the team announced that they were assembled. But Mose was surprised to see Silborn standing in front of him. This player was the head of the Silver Guild and was a famous mage. It was also rumored that he had 5 magical artifacts, and Mose couldn't believe that they would be fighting together with such a player. At that moment, Silborn attracted the attention of all the raid participants. He immediately thanked everyone for taking part in the troll hunt. But when he heard about the hunt, Mose was very surprised. After all, the trolls were too strong for a newbie like him. Although the troll's level was low, it had an aggressive character and high regeneration. And because of its strength, the troll could even crush a boulder. And now Mose wasn't sure if he could handle the task. Then Guile told Mose not to let the trolls see him, because they were very fierce. But the man replied that the trolls were afraid of fire and spells, and ran slowly. But the most important thing was that they could make money from it. Mose perked up a little when he heard this, and Sharon added that everything that could be obtained from the troll was expensive. There was demand for both troll blood and bones and skin, which were used to make armor. And usually trolls were hunted by large guilds, and the Sharon squad were lucky to have been able to take part in something like this at all. But the guild was recruiting new people, and this made everyone tense. But Gale said that a couple of drops of blood would be enough for him to pay for his studies. Then the guy added that he was also a student and earned money for his studies by playing. And Moise admitted that he has the same situation. Guile replied that they were brothers in misfortune, so they would farm together. At that moment, Sharon wanted to go back to university because she was having problems with her job. But suddenly someone caught everyone's attention. It's time to discuss the hunting plan. And then Silborn came out to everyone again. Then he opened the map to check something. And then he was ready to let everyone in on the plan. The man immediately asked everyone to reveal their cards. He said that their guild had been setting up traps for trolls for the past few days. First, it was necessary to lure the troll into a set trap. Once he gets into it, half the job is done. After all that remains is to finish him off. Silborn guaranteed that if they followed the plan, they would catch the trolls without risk. Everyone was surprised that the guild had thought the hunt through so much. Then Mose realized that he wouldn't have to fight anyone one-on-one. But Gale doubted that such hunting was fair. He also noticed that the team that would lure the troll did not include a single guild member. The man thought that the guild would be at the forefront and thus receive more participation bonuses. But Sharon was glad even that they were invited. Then Mose realized that even if you are on the team, it is not a fact that you will fight. Finally, Silborn announced that rewards would be distributed based on players' participation points. Afterwards, all the teams went in different directions. One guy asked his friends if they just needed to find the troll. Another guy confirmed that as soon as they meet the monster, they should immediately lure it into a trap. Their leader was happy that the guild, not they, would be the ones fighting the monster. But the guy was glad that when they were accepted into the guild, they too would only go hunting. Hearing a strange sound behind him, the leader turned around and told his comrade to watch his step. But afterwards he was stunned. It turns out that his comrade was killed by a sneaking troll. Looking at the other players, the troll growled angrily. But it turned out he wasn't the only one here. Obviously the players were immediately scared of the monsters. At that moment the evil trolls growled at the people. And frightened, the players began to flee. Soon they emerged from the forest and came out onto the plain. However, the trolls were almost not far behind them. Then the players began to wonder where the trap was that they hadn't noticed. But all they could do was run forward. Then they saw the guild between the trees. This gave them a feeling that they were safe and saved. Because of this, the guy decided to grab his sword. And turning sharply, the guy was about to strike. But then he slipped and fell. Having gotten dirty in something, the guy didn't understand what it was. The boy soon realized that he had fallen into viscous oil, which immobilized the enemy and exploded upon contact with fire. But at that moment the trolls were already in front of him, and his comrade was dead. Realizing how bad his situation was, the boy was filled with fear. And in despair, he began to call the guild for help. However, the entire guild only chuckled at the request for help. Because of this, the guy slowly began to guess what was going on. At that moment, Silborn prepared to attack. All the while, he continued to smile. His attack was aimed straight at the trolls where the guy was located. Seeing this, the guy got scared, and then a big magical explosion happened. Taking off his glasses, Silborn recalled his own words. He also said that the hunt would be safe. The next to encounter the troll were Mose's squad. But the troll in front of them looked more dangerous than the others, and Mose was on guard because of the meeting with him. Before this, the male knight smirked that he could defeat the troll alone. He assured that with its attack power, the troll would not be able to harm him. Then Sharon chuckled that when he met the troll, he would fight, and the rest would run away. But the knight was angered that he had already been buried in a similar way. At that moment, Mose noticed some movement from above. But when he looked up, he couldn't see anything. Then Sharon asked him if everything was okay, and pointing to the rock, Mose admitted that there was someone there. After this, someone's shadow loomed over the frightened Sharon. It turned out that a dark troll stood in front of them. Seeing him, Mose also became very scared. Without wasting any time, the troll swung at the guy. But the knight came to the rescue, putting his shield under attack. Even though he stopped the blow, the man had a hard time holding it back. And almost immediately, the troll was able to pin the man to the ground. Immediately, everyone became worried about the knight, and Mose couldn't recover from the shock and stood rooted to the spot. It was at that moment that the troll noticed him. The guy was confused, because they had been told something different, and he was not ready to fight such an opponent. Then, everything inside Mose went cold. He seemed to sense someone else's thirst for blood. The guy thought he was about to die, but then arrows flew past. However, the arrows instantly bounced off the troll without causing any damage. It turned out that Sharon did not hesitate to engage in battle with the monster, but the girl was also worried about her uncle. At that moment, the man was finally able to get to his feet, and he boldly rushed into battle with the monster. The first thing he decided to do was put his shield right in front of the monster, and then he used his shield strike ability, trying to push the troll back. And this even had a very good effect on the troll. But by grabbing a tree, the troll was able to stop the effect of the blow and stay in place. And then he raised an angry gaze to the man. This surprised the man, and he immediately tensed up. Then Sharon asked the man if he was okay. He replied that he was fine, but the full force of the blow did not harm the troll. The arrows were also useless, so Sharon wondered what they should do. Mose suggested luring the troll into a trap, because they said it would be easy. But Guile replied that the troll looked like a quest monster. Besides, this one came alone, although trolls move in groups. Then Mose asked if they could kill him. But even if Guile doesn't let him recover, his strength and defense are still high. Then the knight realized that there was only one thing left for them to do. They had to hold off the troll until the guild arrived. When the monster started to attack, all they could do was dodge. But Sharon bravely entered the fight. Then the arrows that hit the troll bounced off him again. This really irritated the girl. But the man told Sharon to retreat and Mose to distract the monster from behind. Mose immediately agreed to carry out the assignment. However, the guy wondered what he was doing here. The players before him knew how to act as a team, and had been playing together for a long time. And the difference between them and Moses was too great. He was like a fool, hoping for luck and killing slimes for 2 months. He really wanted to have a real adventure like this. Suddenly the guy was pulled out of his thoughts. And only then did he notice that the troll was swinging at him. At that moment Mose thought he was finished. But the knight decided to intervene. Using his shield, he pushed the troll away from the guy. Because of this, the monster lost his balance and missed. Then the man told Mose to get ready. Mose didn't know if he could change if he started later than everyone else. However, Mose got tired of his helplessness and decided to take action. And then the guy delivered a confident blow with his sword. But to his surprise, it was at that moment that the sword gave in and broke. The guy's own weapon really let him down. At that moment, Mose received a blow from which he did not have time to defend himself. The blow was too painful for Mose. And because of the full force of the blow, the guy immediately flew back tens of meters. And then he hit the ground painfully. Health was immediately reduced, and equipment was broken and could no longer be used. With the monster approaching, Sharon told Guile to move away. But the guy didn't have time to react in time, so he was also injured. Luckily, the damage wasn't great, but Sharon said the troll could kill any of them with one blow. Then the girl told them to move away so that the troll would not be so aggressive. At that moment, the knight rushed into battle. Noticing the knight's approach, the troll growled with displeasure, and then he quickly grabbed the tree trunk. And he tried to attack the man approaching him, but the man paid no attention to this and swung his shield. And then he hit the troll's leg with his shield. The troll immediately roared in pain due to the intense pain. And then he lowered his angry gaze to the man. When the knight looked up, he saw something looming over him. And then there was a loud roar. As the cloud of dust hung around, Mose continued to lie unconscious. But when he woke up, the guy was surprised that he was still alive. And after that, he immediately noticed that his stamina had been restored. This left Mose even more amazed. But the guy came to his senses when he heard someone else's screams. It turned out that everyone was worried about their uncle, who continued to be attacked by the troll. Mose also immediately began to worry about his comrade. With the help of the shield, the man was able to withstand the blow, but it was difficult for him to do so. At the same moment, Sharon was given the signal to attack, and the girl released an arrow aimed at the troll's head. Thanks to a well-aimed shot, the arrow hit the monster right in the eye. The troll immediately began to scream from severe pain, and this made him pound the man's shield even more furiously. At that moment, the knight thought that this was how it would all end for him, but then he noticed that someone rushed past him. For some reason, at that moment, Mose boldly rushed forward, and then he pushed the troll, causing the monster to lose its balance. The blow was strong enough to send the troll rolling backwards, and Mose himself was surprised at his own strength. The others in the squad also didn't understand how the guy managed to do it. However, Mose was only able to stop the monster temporarily. Previously, the guy didn't even think that he would be able to knock down such a giant. When asked if Guile was okay, the boy replied that he was okay, unlike his uncle. But suddenly Gale saw a white light in front of him, and almost immediately he realized that regeneration was taking place. At that moment, Mose also understood what it meant to restore his teammates' health. Suddenly the uncle came to his senses and was surprised. The life bar was full, and the man was surprised that he had healed so quickly. But Sharon didn't understand what Mose was talking about. At that moment, the knight thought that Mose did not look like an ordinary newcomer. However, then Mose heard an angry roar behind him. It turns out that the troll will soon be able to join the fight again. Sharon immediately prepared her bow and arrow and said she would aim for the back of the head. And the uncle threw the sword to Mose and said that he would finish this fight. The guy instantly grabbed the sword, and then he made a sharp dash towards the troll. And while the troll was still distracted by the pain from the wound, Mose dealt him another blow. Silborn was pleased that there was no free space in his inventory. It was all taken up by the resources he had mined. And according to his calculations, if this continues, they will be able to earn more than 100 million won in 10 minutes. The man was pleased with this turn of events. According to the rules, at least 100 people should hunt a troll, but there were only 40 in their guild. 80 others had to be found, but Silborn figured out how to profit from it. And to make it more believable, he took several experienced players. The distribution of rewards depended on how much the participant invested in the quest. And if his reputation was damaged by rumors, Silborn simply wanted to fade into the shadows for a while. He thought his plan was brilliant until he saw the notification that the quest had been completed. Seeing that the main goal was to destroy the Black Mountain Troll, Silborn did not understand what had happened. The others were also surprised by this notification, and seeing that he was not the one with the maximum participation, Silborn became indignant. Mosey became the player with the highest damage and received titles as a reward. After some time, Silborn was completely crippled, and the man was surprised at how everything turned out, and all his people were already killed. Because of what happened, Silborn had no mana or health left. Previously, he tried to get to Moses' team and take the victory for himself. But now Silborn was surrounded, and his pursuers smirked as the top player ran away like a rat. When asked what the Dark Guild was doing here, the man was told that he knew it himself. At that moment, Silborn felt helpless and hopeless. The next day, Mose came to the store. After showing the ring, the guy said that he wanted to put it up for auction, and Mose was confident in his choice. A few hours ago, everyone was surprised by what they discovered. The knight noticed that the core had to be different from the others, since it dropped from the boss. The core was something like a treasure chest that could be obtained after killing a monster. The type of core depended on the monster. The stronger it was, the larger the core. Mose knew about it, but he never thought he would be able to see it himself. Suddenly, Sharon said that the core should be opened by Mose. Everyone was in favor of the idea, since Mose had the highest percentage of participation. And after a little persuasion, Mose agreed to do it. After standing near the core for a short time, the guy decided to open it. Everyone else was eager to see what was inside. As soon as Mose touched the core, it began to emit a bright light. Everyone was happy to see some materials and equipment as a reward. And now, all the days of fighting slimes paled in comparison to this reward. The starting price for the ring was 80 gold. Even though it was around 8 million won, the guy wasn't sure if the starting price was good. It was difficult to get a sense of the price, as everything depended on the artifact itself, and prices had only been falling lately. Because of these doubts, Mose continued to think about it. But in the end, he decided that he didn't care, and that he would list it at that price. But even after several hours, Mose continued to wonder if the starting price was too low. However, Mose knew it was too late to regret it now. With these thoughts, the guy tiredly plopped down on his bed. And sighing tiredly, he looked at the ceiling. The guy couldn't believe what happened today. After all, he killed the troll himself in his first quest, and he also received a good reward for it. But the most memorable thing was that he found his first friends in the game. And none of this would have happened if he hadn't won the Florin Star in that lottery. Suddenly, Mario woke up. The guy wondered what time it was, because he was clearly getting carried away playing. When a notification came on his phone, Mario immediately took it. It turned out that his mother was worried about how Mario was eating, so she put some money on his card, even though he was supposed to get his salary the next day. But at that very moment, he saw notifications that money had been debited from his card for internet and transport card payments. Mario was robbed instantly, without being given the chance to enjoy the moment. But the next notification caught the guy's attention more, and with every second the surprise on the guy's face only grew. Mario saw how much money he received for his auction, almost 40 million won. Soon, Mario visited the official representative office of the scheme in Korea. Having received the money for the ring, Mario began to prepare for more serious matters. He also bought powder from a special store for players of the scheme. The powder was a necessary nutritional supplement for those players who played for long periods without a break. And when the player ate in the game, he received this supplement through virtual reality glasses. All the necessary elements entered the bloodstream through the facial skin. A real find for gamers. But of course, Mario thought it was better to eat in real life. Suddenly something interested Mario again. At that moment, Mario saw that the frequent queries in the game were about him and Silborn, as well as about their hunt. After Mario immediately read that he was being searched for, and the guild even offered a reward for information about him, and the body of the dead Silborn was found. Mario was surprised that Silborn was killed, and that they were paying so much for information about Mose. And then the guy stopped and thought. Suddenly the guy imagined how all the guilds would try to get him to join them. And also, how everyone will challenge him to a fight. And it would get to the point where Mose wouldn't even be allowed to sleep. These thoughts made Mario nervous. Deciding that this wouldn't do, he quickly moved forward. As he prepared to play, he thought that his entire playing career would be ruined if he did nothing. At that moment, Mose decided to leave Aspargan, the city where he was now located. And when he entered the game, Mose found himself on the outskirts of the city. The guy understood that he couldn't miss such $1 million chance. Mose decided to get away from everyone. But before that, he made equipment from the resources obtained from the troll. Mose was pleased that such equipment would be perfect for a wanderer. The boy thanked the blacksmith for his work, and he replied that it was a pleasure to work with such material. And then came that long-awaited hour for Mose. But it only seemed that way to him until the first difficulties. He could not find the right path. And because of this, the guy became completely desperate. Suddenly Mose noticed that the wind was blowing from underground. Then he put his hand to that strange place. Immediately after this, the whole earth began to tremble. And then the entrance to the cave opened in front of him, from where the wind blew even stronger. Mose was surprised by this unexpectedness, and then he saw a notification that Mose was the first one to open this dungeon, and he was the first to explore it. It was too dark inside, so Mose took out a glow ball for light. When he finally got a chance to see something, Mose was surprised. The cave was very spacious, and on the walls there were inscriptions in an unknown language. The further Mose walked, the darker it became. But suddenly he saw a monument with an inscription. The guy immediately came closer to examine the find. The text said that the troops were ambushed and that foul air immediately filled the air. And after the warriors said goodbye to their lives, they were cursed and could not find peace. While Mose was engrossed in reading, the dead behind him rose up. But he immediately noticed them and grinned at the fact that he had guessed about the upcoming brawl. However, Mose was worried that there were so many monsters. Despite this, there was no choice. The guy had to attack. With one blow, Mose was able to kill several monsters at once. But hundreds of others immediately rushed at the guy. He was able to dodge their attacks, but Mose felt the tension. There was no end to the dead, and they were advancing from everywhere. And Mose, who was not of the fighting class, was forced to fight back. He didn't really know how to use a sword either, so the monsters only crowded around him even more. But despite such pressure, Mose was still confident that he could cope. At that moment, the skeletons came close to him, and then they all crushed the guy, forming a pile. Under such pressure, it was difficult for Mose to even move. But suddenly a bright light appeared beneath the monsters. And then there was a strong explosion. Thanks to his artifact, Mose was able to create a powerful explosion and push back the monsters. But suddenly he looked down. Then he saw that the remaining monsters were still approaching him. Then he rushed into battle, intending to end it as quickly as possible. Soon after, Mose was indeed able to deal with all the skeletons. And at that moment, he couldn't even believe that this was the end. Then he suddenly noticed a new source of light. And then suddenly system notifications appeared in front of him. Then Mose learned that he had managed to level up twice during this battle. And immediately he was happy, because now the level was higher than 10. However, his joy came to an end when he heard a growl behind him. Then Mose turned sharply in that direction. At that moment the guy could no longer relax and was on the alert. Mose held his sword out in front of him and was extremely careful. Soon after, he proceeded into a new tunnel of the cave. Then he began to wonder if there was anyone else here. Mose continued to follow the direction in which he seemed to have heard some sound. But suddenly he felt a strong stench. It turned out that there were bodies of travelers in that place. But there were too many of them, so there was a disgusting smell. Suddenly Mose heard something again. And then he went up to the new sign with inscriptions. There was already new text on it. Mose was immediately curious about what was written on the new slab. The first line was full of hatred. The author hated the Imperial Army because they burned their village and killed his family. So the village shaman decided to put a curse on them that would cause them to suffer even after death. Mose was surprised that the two slabs read slightly different things. However, Mose agreed that the army had acted meanly. Suddenly Mose heard a sound again, and after that the guy looked back warily. Then Mose saw a notification about the start of a quest, which required the words of a spell to be spoken to activate it, and Mose immediately pronounced them. Suddenly everything underfoot began to shake and there was a roar, and something began to form near the stove. Mose was surprised that the bones were coming together, and after that there was horror in the guy's eyes. After all, a skeleton appeared before him that could talk. The skeleton was indignant at how someone could defile him with their words. Mose was on guard as the skeleton said that the shaman should have been killed, not starved. At that moment, Mose noticed that he was shaking all over. Afterwards, the skeleton asked the guy if he had freed him, and Mose said the skeleton guessed right. And then the guy promised that the skeleton would answer for the murder of innocents. However, the skeleton immediately attacked Mose, who did not expect this. And from the collision with the stone wall, it began to collapse. The skeleton was angry that the boy dared to judge him. After all, Mose was just a stupid, arrogant man. And then the skeleton promised that Mose would not be able to survive. Each location boss had its own unique name. Mosey knew that bosses were stronger than normal mobs, but he didn't think that fighting even the first ones would be so difficult. At that moment, Mose's health was already about 20%. Seeing a bright light in front of him, the monster tensed up. The regeneration process began, which gave Mose confidence in his victory. The skeleton rushed at the guy and asked what kind of dark magic he had used. Then the monster swung at the guy. Mose knew he had to react quickly, and at that moment, he was able to dodge the blow. And immediately after that, a counterattack followed. The skeleton didn't expect this, so he took the blow fully. Mose was glad he was able to hit such a good shot. Good equipment gave him an advantage, so Mose could move the way he wanted. And now the guy was confident that with such armor he could win. However, the skeleton did not want to fall at the hands of a newcomer. He intended to kill the boy and by ripping off his skin, free himself from the curse. But Mose cheekily replied that the skeleton could talk as much as he wanted. However, the skeleton believed that Mose simply did not know his place, and it was worth reminding him of the difference in classes. Suddenly, a dark light appeared in front of Mose. The skeleton was about to remove the restraining seal. After leveling up, the skeleton immediately attacked the guy. At that moment, Mose was seriously injured. After the skeleton struck, he turned back to the guy and pointed his sword at him. And without giving Mose a break, he pounced on the guy. And then the guy got hit again. After that, Mose rolled helplessly on the ground, and in the end he painfully hit his back against the wall. The skeleton suspected that because of the guy's magic, he wouldn't be able to cut him down in one blow. But he believed that there was no point in swinging the sword anymore. It would simply end the guy's life. Mose was in excruciating pain at that moment. Previously, he would have died immediately from such wounds. But now everything was different. Now he had a lot of health, and his recovery was fast. Every second he gained over 100 units of health. And as long as the guy doesn't die, he'll always have a couple of seconds to recover. Mose never imagined that the lottery pendant would play such an important role for him. The skeleton was surprised that the boy withstood the blow of his sword. And then Mose promised to kill the skeleton and avenge all the murdered inhabitants of the village. But such insolence only angered the skeleton. When he launched another blow, Mose was able to block it. However, he felt this incredible power. Quickly getting his bearings, Mose tilted his sword to the side. And a second later, he was freed from the pressure. And then he immediately attacked the skeleton. But Mose knew he had to wait for the moment when the monster would reveal itself. When the moment came, the guy struck a precise blow. After the first hit, Mose knew he couldn't lose momentum. And then he was able to deliver a dozen quick blows. The skeleton, enraged, raised his sword. That blow should have landed right on the guy. However, Mose had a good reaction. At the same moment, the skeleton's hand was cut off. It turned out that Mose was faster than his opponent and struck first. And then he furiously rushed at the skeleton. With another blow, the guy made his opponent lose his balance. Then the skeleton fell down with a loud noise. And then he saw that a sword was pointed at him. Without a doubt, Mose emerged victorious in the fight. Then the boy told the skeleton that this was the end. But the skeleton did not understand how this could be possible. The skeleton began to guess where the guy was from, since he was able to defeat him. But Mose thought the skeleton was talking nonsense. He then called the skeleton a pathetic murderer who had brought shame on his empire. But the skeleton replied that such a youth had no idea what it meant to be a warrior. Mose thought that the skeleton was no better, since he attacked a peaceful village and killed everyone. This was not the act of a warrior. Then the skeleton objected that they had no choice, because the war was in full swing and famine had begun, because their army had stopped being supplied with supplies. Therefore, they were forced to ask for help from the village they were defending, but they were seen only as enemies. And soon after that they were attacked. The warriors received no thanks for defending them. The skeleton believed that they had no honor to try to fight the imperial army. Mose asked if that was the only reason everyone was killed, and the skeleton replied that if there were no curse on it, it would be a good memory. At that moment, Mose lost his temper. The guy said he knew much more about what it meant to be a warrior than people like him. The guy said he served for 2 years. They swore an oath in front of the people and the nation, and were the army of the Republic of Korea. After that, he dealt the final blow. The skeleton was defeated, and Mose went on his way. But suddenly he felt ashamed of the stupidity he had said. At that moment, the guy saw a notification in front of him. He received several notifications that he had leveled up. Mose was thrilled to have climbed 6 levels at once. He also received an achievement that gave 2 units to each stat. When the wind picked up, Mose wondered what was going on this time, and then he noticed the formed core. Mose immediately noticed that it was different from all the others. The guy immediately decided to touch the core, and then a blinding light appeared in Mose's eyes. And the next second he was surprised. After all, the core dropped too many things for one person. Rejoicing at what he had obtained, Mose said that all of this needed to be put away in the inventory as quickly as possible, and the joy did not leave the guy's face. But suddenly he noticed an object that was different from all the others. It was the sword the skeleton had used, and naturally, Mose recognized the weapon immediately. But hearing a sound behind him, the guy got scared, but it was just a notification that had arrived. Then Mose read that this blade was unique. Mose couldn't believe how valuable this blade was. The highest rank was rare, but there were ranks higher than that. He chuckled at the fact that in the future, he would hardly find a sword that would be on par with this one. Mose was the first to receive both a rare and unique artifact. But when I approached the sword, it turned out that it was dissolving into thin air. And then the smoke from the sword went to Mose. But it turned out that Mose had acquired the skill of summoning a sword. Then the guy thought it was high time, and then he made an attempt to summon the sword. A pentagram immediately appeared at his feet. Watching this, Mose thought it was incredible, and the sword summoning worked perfectly. At that moment, Mose was filled with delight at his find. The sword was comfortable to hold and the weight was perfect. Mose immediately wanted to try it out in a real battle. But at that moment, the guy noticed that he had stepped on something. Sitting down, he decided to examine the discovered object. It turned out that Mose had discovered the seal of the defeated knight, and then he noticed that he was being offered a hidden quest. Mose didn't know what they wanted to offer him, but he wanted to quickly take all the treasures with him and take on the quest. Mose was already calculating how much money he would get for all this. But suddenly he noticed some light. It turned out to be the morning sun, and Mose decided to take the items to the nearest village. Many were surprised when they saw the items for sale. Many noticed a skill book among those items. But around then, everyone noticed that the items were put up by one player. To everyone's surprise, it was that same Mose. Everyone knew that Mose had been hunting with Silborn. Meanwhile, Mose was on the Central Trade Committee, and the guy was filled with surprise. After all, he saw several bars of gold in front of him, and when he heard exactly how much he made from the auction, Mose couldn't believe it, and the goblin had to voice his earnings to Mose several times. The surprise didn't go away, and then the guy fell to the floor. He knew he should be happy about this, but he still couldn't believe what was happening. Then he pointed to an object that didn't look like gold, and that Mose didn't know about. Then the goblin replied that in front of Mosem was an Ormacon token, and one such token was equivalent to 1,000 gold coins. It was a valuable currency that featured the image of a legendary dragon with golden skin, and Mose was very surprised by the currency with a magical rank. But afterward, the goblin warned Mose that he would have to be vigilant for a while, because now everyone will want to know who Mose is. After all, dark guilds had already formed long ago, which killed both players and NPCs, and in the city, everyone was already discussing how much money Mose could get for the auction. The guy heard that many people wanted to rob him if they suddenly met him. Things were much more serious, so Mose decided to lay low. Mose thought he needed to find something better than this hood, when suddenly an idea came to him. He decided to order armor that would completely hide his body and face. Mose simply asked to see what was available, since he didn't care about the price. And then they showed him a full set of armor that was shining. The guy thought that it was unlikely that anyone would recognize him if he dressed like this. The blacksmith said that he made this armor a long time ago for one of the competitions, and for it he wanted to receive 200 gold pieces. The man knew it was a bit expensive, but he thought the armor was worth it. However, he was very surprised to see that they gave him the money right away. Without further ado, Mose was ready to buy the armor immediately, and he wanted to take the entire set of armor. When evening came, the girl walked along a lonely street. Suddenly, someone asked Kay if she was going on a mission again. The guy guessed correctly, and then offered his help to the girl. However, Kaya refused, because she believed that the guy would become a burden for her. When Kaya was about to leave, Veyron said that she was not so simple for a mongrel. The girl became angry and immediately attacked him. And seeing the blade in front of him, Veyron noted that the girl was, as always, fast. Afterwards, he asked the girl to cool down, since she hardly wanted to cut the chainmail during the performance. But Kaya remained silent about this. As she left, the girl told Veyron to watch his sword and words next time. Afterwards, she found herself holding a pebble in her hands, which she would soon throw to the ground. And the next moment, a portal appeared in front of Kaya. When the girl disappeared, the guy called her a visual mongrel. And then the guy unrolled the scroll, trying to understand where they could have hidden that thing. It turns out he was searching for Florin's star. The coachman was happy to meet Mose, because the boy helped him fight off the monster. The man could not express in words how grateful he was for this. On the way, they got to talking, and Mose admitted that he earns money for his teaching by playing. But the man ended up here because he was first fired from his job, and then his business went bankrupt. When asked where Mose was heading, the guy replied that he had no specific plans. The man replied that he would be ready to take Mose anywhere, because he was like a bodyguard to him. After they said goodbye to the coachman, Mose saw a notice that his armor needed repairs. That's when he decided to do just that. While in the workshop, Mose thought that getting the Giratina seal would be really cool. But Mose still didn't understand what conditions he needed to fulfill to start the hidden quest. He thought about it constantly, but he couldn't figure out what to do. But Mose decided to repair the armor and then meet his carrier. Walking down the street, the guy was surprised that there were a lot of people here. Suddenly he noticed that some guy was being beaten up because he was late. The people were outraged that the coachman had only delayed the delivery by a little, but that was how he was treated. Continuing to beat the man, the impudent man promised that he would be buried today. Then suddenly someone grabbed his hand. Turning to the knight, the boy asked what he was doing. Mose said that sometimes things happen on the road and people are late, but it is wrong to beat them up for that. Moving away from him, the guy asked if the knight knew who was standing in front of him. The boy believed that everyone in the valley had to obey him, and he could hit anyone who spoiled his mood. But Mose asked if such a small thing was enough to beat people up. Then the fool decided to attack the knight in armor, but Mose easily dodged his blow. And then he directed a cold-blooded gaze at his opponent. And after hitting the guy back, Mose said it was self-defense. The blow was strong, and the boy flew into the building behind him. And then he immediately lost consciousness. Seeing such power, people immediately became frightened. Approaching the coachman, Mose asked if he was all right. People were horrified that Mose had the nerve to hit the heir to the valley. Then Mose was asked if he didn't know the consequences. Then Mose saw in front of him the father of the boy, who was outraged by what had happened. And then he sent his bodyguard into battle, wanting to teach the guy in armor a lesson. Approaching Mose, the man called him a freak because of his actions. And having struck, the man promised to deal with him. However, at that moment, a sword appeared in Mose's hands. His opponent was surprised by such a suddenness. And then Mose struck, causing the enemy to fly back several meters. And so it happened that he was cast aside as the heir to the valley. Then the man also lost consciousness. Seeing that his bodyguard was defeated, the man became frightened. And then he ordered his man to stand up if he considered himself a worthy knight. But at that moment, Mose already pointed his sword at him. Then someone noticed Mose's armor, and everyone assumed that he was from the Order of the 14 Knights. Running up to the guy, everyone was happy that the Order had finally decided to help them. Then everyone began to ask for punishment for the lords of the valley for taking away property, calling it taxes, and executing those who could not pay. Mose didn't know what order they were talking about, but he thought the situation was working out to his advantage. Then he asked Morik if the residents were telling the truth. The man timidly replied that this was partly true, since they were simply stocking up in case of famine. But Mose suggested that he should visit his house and check it out. Then Morik admitted that he had committed a terrible crime. When the man began to beg for mercy, Mose did not answer him. And then he replied that Morik should compensate for the damage. Then he would remain alive, to which the man quickly agreed. After that, everyone was incredibly grateful to the guy. And then Mose saw a notification that the condition for the task had been fulfilled. He needed to increase his fame. Mose was very pleased with this surprise. Meanwhile, everyone continued to look at Mose, but someone else decided to punish Mose for impersonating one of the Order. But another man reminded him of the prophecy that one day a wanderer would make this world a better place. Besides, thanks to Mose, they have less work now. People assumed it was the same Mose everyone was talking about. And then there was a dry silence. And soon it was decided to follow Muzem, who seemed strange. Meanwhile, Mose was trying to figure out where to go next, and the choice fell on a city called Falep. But after traveling around the city, Mose fell from fatigue. He was surprised that this had been going on for several days. The secret class of players was so rare that it was almost never seen, and the community barely talked about them. And even the worker at the bureau couldn't help Mose. But the guy was indignant that it looked like he would have to search the entire city. Suddenly something caught his eye. Seeing the beautiful elves in front of him, the guy was delighted. Mosey never thought that he would meet elves in this place. At that moment, someone accidentally pushed the guy, and finally the man told him to watch where he was going. Mose was angered that the man had attacked him, and then Mose wished that the man would get into some shit. Immediately after this phrase, a fiery explosion followed, and this coincidence confused Mose a little. After the blow, the man tried to come to his senses, and then he noticed that all his money was scattered on the ground. But at that moment, someone appeared in front of him and called him a fraud. The guy in front of him asked him if he really thought he could just run away. Mose was surprised by the man's strength, but suddenly he noticed something. He saw that the guy had a ring that was familiar to Mose. Then the man pulled a dagger out of his clothes. And then he angrily attacked the guy. However, his opponent was faster and struck first. The wound was serious, and the thief was immediately defeated. Everyone was amazed by the swordsman's strength, and the guy was angry that he had just wasted his time on this. Mose was surprised that he couldn't even see the guy's movements. But at that moment, a notification appeared in front of him. Mose found a clue to the secret class reward. Mosey was surprised that the hidden quest had already been completed, but afterward he was even more surprised by what he read. He needed to talk to that swordsman. Mose was surprised that he was able to find the secret classroom so quickly, and one of his representatives was now moving away from him. When it was late evening, the swordsman went about his business, and Mose crept cautiously behind him. Mosey thought about what he had only guessed then, but now he was convinced that the guy's ring was exactly like Giratina's. Giratina did mention that he was also a swordsman. Mose suddenly began to think that luck really was on his side. But suddenly the guy came to his senses and was surprised, because he had lost sight of the swordsman. But it turned out he was already behind Mose. Then he grabbed the hesitant guy, and then he threw it aside. While Mose was coming to his senses, the swordsman was in no hurry to attack. Only then did he point his gun at the guy, and then he asked with displeasure if the guy had been following him. But suddenly he was surprised by something. He noticed Mose's pendant and asked him where he got it from. The guy said that someone more worthy deserved such a thing. But Mose answered honestly that he won it in the lottery. Immediately after this, a blow from the swordsman followed. And then the man asked with displeasure why Mose was joking. But Mose repeated that in the city of Lindurk there was an old man selling runes. The swordsman immediately asked what the old man looked like. And having heard the description of that old man, he became quiet and thoughtful. Afterwards he let Mose go. And he chuckled at the fact that that old man was actually in that city. When Mose's health was fully restored, he asked who the old man was. The swordsman replied that in the criminal world he was known as a high-class criminal, and they called him the gambler Lyro. But Mose couldn't believe that the man was a criminal, and the swordsman was tasked with tracking down the old man because he knew about the disappearance of the languorous cavalcade. However, Mose didn't know what they were talking about, and this angered the swordsman. In fact, the cavalcade was the greatest force on the continent, but one day it disappeared on its way to war. Then Mose realized the meaning of his pendant. This pendant belonged to Florin, the commander of the cavalcade. Mose thought it was just a magnificent artifact, but it turned out to be deeper than that. Suddenly the guy in front of him fell silent. He assumed the star was real since Mose's wounds had healed so quickly. And after that he grabbed his weapon, and he delivered a quick blow to Mose's head. But Mose was only outraged by what the swordsman was doing. And when the boy learned that the swordsman wanted to take the pendant, he became indignant. The swordsman asked Mose to be a good boy and just die. He later admitted that he had wanted to kill Mose from the very beginning. After all, everyone knew that dead people don't talk. After that, he made a dash towards Mose. Having drawn his sword, Mose understood why the man had told him everything so easily. But at that moment, he had already caught up with the guy. And after 2 hits, Mose's health was below 10%. The man couldn't be happier that the pendant would soon belong to him. But suddenly he was surprised. Mose turned out to be alive and, moreover, even managed to fully recover. The man was surprised that the guy seemed immortal. Approaching Mose, the man said that he had already heard about the players. But even if Mose was reborn again, the swordsman was determined to find him again to kill him. Trying to cope with the intense pain, Mose knew he just needed to wait a little while. But the swordsman had no intention of watching Mose being treated. After that, he struck, and Mose's health dropped below 3%. At that moment, Mose was powerless. Gradually, consciousness left Mose. Suddenly, someone said that the swordsman kept all the truth in the sword and dedicated himself entirely to it. At that moment, Mose didn't understand what was happening. The man told the swordsman that not only had he spilled all the secrets to the immortal, but he had also behaved like a lousy dog. After this, he called him a traitor and sentenced him to death. But the guy tried to convince his master. At the last moment, he only asked for one more chance. But it was too late, and the traitor's blood was shed. But after delivering the fatal blow, the man said that he would apologize in hell. Mose was surprised that the master just killed his student. And then he turned to Mose and told the guy that he was next, because now Mose knew too much. Suddenly, Mose thought that the first guy had really scared him. But this man was on a whole other level. However, Mose didn't want it to end now. Suddenly, the man was genuinely surprised. He was surprised by the boy's unwillingness to give up. Mose didn't want to back down, even if he died and had to pay a fine. The man decided to remind her how big the difference was between them. Then Mose said that even if he died, the man would still haunt him, so he had to give it his all. The man was struck by Mose's will to live, even though the boy was shaking with fear. After all, even among swordsmen, such people were rare. But suddenly he saw what kind of ring was on Mose's finger. This made the man surprised. After all, he recognized this swordsman's seal. Grabbing Mose, he asked him where he got such a ring. Then Mose had to admit that he got it after defeating Giratina. Hearing this name, the man was even more surprised. After letting the guy go, the man said that he saw that Mose was not lying, although it was hard to believe. Mose then asked if Giratina was a swordsman. The man confirmed that this was the case. However, Several hundred years ago, he defected to the Imperial Army and betrayed the swordsman. There weren't many swordsmen in those days, so they couldn't stand up to that army. Then Mose realized where Giratina got such an unusual ring from. Mosey thought that he shouldn't have killed Giratina, but the swordsman said that someone would have done it sooner or later. However, after everything Mose learned, they didn't want to let him go alive. The man said that every time after being revived, Mose would die in agony, or become a replacement for the dead idiot and work for them. And the man wanted Mose to make his choice as quickly as possible. However, Mose interrupted him and immediately said that they would work together. The swordsman was even surprised by such a quick answer. The man was surprised that Mose hadn't even thought about it at all. However, the guy was confident in his choice. Afterwards, the swordsman said that the choice had been made, but it was still unknown whether Mose would be able to become a swordsman. And then he hit the guy. But Mose didn't understand what he was getting into trouble for. When everything went dark before his eyes, Mose only managed to hear that it was a greeting. When Mose woke up, he was in bed. He immediately recognized that he was in a new location, and this place was called a sanctuary. Shortly after Mose woke up, he found himself at the training grounds, and his training partner was Kea. Mose was the first to decide to attack, but it was very difficult for him to resist Kea's blows. The girl smirked at the fact that Mose thought he could handle her one-on-one, and then the guy was hit with a multitude of blows. Kea then dodged the blow, saying she could follow the movements. Mosey knew he couldn't match Kea's speed. Besides, the girl noticed all his movements, and when Mose accidentally opened up, she attacked. After that blow, the guy immediately fell to the ground. However, when he opened his eyes, he saw that someone was extending a hand to him. Kea praised Mose for his skills, but said he had room to improve. And then the guy agreed with her, simply nodding in response. And then he asked to give him time, promising that he would win next time. After some time, Mario's mother became outraged by the large sum he offered her. She was worried that her son was involved in something illegal, but Mose replied that he had simply been saving up for a long time. When the mother noticed that her son was being too polite, Mario immediately hung up. And after that, the guy looked forward to today's training. The swordsmen were an organization and were engaged in the fulfillment of various international orders. And Robin, who brought Mose, was one of the 10 masters. Thinking it was fate, Mose decided to join them. But after a while, he began to regret his decision, because the training was too difficult. He was forbidden to skip basic training, because everyone had to know the basics. Their missions were secret, so Mose had to learn as much as possible about other countries. When the guy fell asleep, he was instantly woken up by blows that immediately knocked off half of his health. But all this helped Mose tolerate Kea. It soon became clear that their first mission together was approaching. Kea jokingly told Mose not to screw everything up, but the guy was indignant and said that now he too was a swordsman and knew the rules. Finally, the girl asked him not to worry too much and hoped to see the guy alive. Mose saw the girl off with a smile on his face. And then he was ready to go to Aspargan. As Mose walked around the city, he thought that he was now a full-fledged member of the organization. And as confirmation of this, he received their distinctive ring, the seal of the swordsman. Suddenly, the guy noticed that the number of players in the city had increased. Many people bragged to each other about their new equipment. Many were surprised that troll skins had now risen in price. Mosey noticed that before everyone was beating slimes for artifacts, but now the average level of artifacts has increased. Suddenly, the boy heard a cry for help. Some guy said that they took all his artifacts and were only willing to give them back for a ransom. But suddenly they began to whisper that some guild was trying to seize the local lands. And according to rumors, everyone knew that only players with magical artifacts were there. The girls only felt sorry for the guy who was unlucky enough to stumble upon the guild. After hearing everything, Mose did not react for a while. But then I decided to look up. Soon, someone tried to enter the territory of the #1 guild's land. They threatened other players and demanded that they leave here. But suddenly the one who was supposed to buy back his artifacts appeared before them. But suddenly the man asked if the boy knew how much the artifact he scratched was worth. But suddenly Mose appeared in front of him. With a smile, the guy asked who they were to manage common lands. However, Mose was told to leave in a good way. Then the guy chuckled. It seemed like the bottom had been reached, but now they were threatening him. And then Mose sternly called them pathetic trash. Enraged, one man swung at the boy. However, Mose was faster and attacked first. Seeing that one of them was being attacked, the other guild members were surprised. And then the order was given to seize the guy. However, Mose was confident in himself and didn't even intend to use the sword. When the first player attacked him, the guy instantly dodged. And then came the counterattack. After striking, Mose immediately began to change his position. And with quick attacks, he hit several people at once. Noticing how strong Mose was, people began to avoid him. Meanwhile, Mose dealt with the last person who stood in his way. He then turned around and said that he was a player who wanted to hunt in these lands. Then someone asked if they would continue to stand and watch. But then someone intervened and asked why everyone was yelling so much. It turns out that at that moment the guild leader, Soksa, approached. Then everyone started to laugh that Mose was finished, because he wouldn't be able to resist the rancor. But suddenly someone asked to look ahead. Sox had a bronze token, which was only awarded to the top 9,000 players. Then Mose was surprised that while he was training with the swordsman, a lot had changed in the game. It turned out that the Information Guild had recounted the players at the official level, and there were more than 310,000 of them. Suddenly the man became indignant that many people were not aware of this, and then he indignantly said that there were 7 rankers in their guild. After scolding his men, he told everyone to get lost, and then he turned to Mose. Soxa said that the guy would pay for raising his hand against his guys, but the next moment Soxa also received a blow to the face. Afterwards, Mose suggested calling everyone here, including security, and at that very moment a sword appeared in his hands. Mose wanted to show everyone how Soxa's business was crumbling to dust. Then he started moving so fast that no one even noticed his attacks, and immediately a noise arose from the screams of people who were experiencing severe pain. But not paying attention to this, Mose continued to attack people, and in his gaze no one saw anything but cold. The guy's look scared everyone, and they wanted to run away. Without thinking twice, everyone nevertheless took to their heels, and Mose was able to breathe a sigh of relief. However, he was so focused on this guild that he forgot about his main task, but it was certainly worth it, because everyone was grateful to the guy. Soon after, Mose found himself on an airship. Looking at the ground from above, the guy felt great delight. But suddenly someone approached Mose and called out to him. The man asked if the boy had come here for a mission. It turned out that the man in front of Mose also had the swordsman's seal. Then Mose bowed and said that truth calls only to the sword. The man bowed back to the boy and said the same thing. But at that moment, Mose was interested in the aura that emanated from the man. The guy then used the skill of insight, which allowed him to see the name and level of another player. The guy was surprised when he saw level 91, but despite this, the man looked kind. This surprised Mose, and he didn't really think he would meet a swordsman here. The man introduced himself as Kalawar from Luswan, and Mose was a swordsman from Aspargan. Suddenly the man said that something serious had happened in the north. After all, he didn't understand how else it could be explained that 5 important people had gathered on one airship at once. Kalawar had wanted to see them, but Mose didn't understand what kind of people he was talking about. And then the guy admitted that he was now curious about what was happening. Then the man called the guy to follow him, and they found themselves in a luxurious hall. While Mose was delighted with the hall, Kalawar asked him to follow him, but suddenly Mose became wary. It turned out that in front of him were some of the strongest people on the continent. Seeing such an elite in front of him, Mose didn't feel quite as at ease. Suddenly, Aurora asked if they had come to participate in their mission. But Yvonne noted that those who came did not particularly look like skilled fighters. Kaya replied that although they did not make a serious impression, one of them had the blessing of an immortal. And then the blonde looked at Mose and smiled. This gave the guy the idea that Kaya might know him. Suddenly, one of those present stood up and said that he had heard about a wanderer who was able to become a swordsman. At that moment, Gon realized that they were talking about Mose, who was now in front of them. Seeing that the man was level 244, the guy got scared. Mosey immediately realized that the person in front of him was the legendary Grandmaster. The boy then bowed politely and introduced himself to Gon. Gon asked the man next to him who he was, and then Kalawar introduced himself as well. After this, Gon's face instantly darkened and became stern. However, Mose and Kalawar held their own in front of him. Noticing this, the man already smiled. And laughing, he noted that the young swordsman did not cower before the Grand Master of the sword. At that moment, Mose saw a notification that he had received a secret achievement. And then he was surprised that he was given a couple of stat points simply for meeting the Grandmaster. And for him it was a big question how strong these guys really were. It was no surprise that this mission was S-class, considering the people involved. At that moment, the loudspeaker announced that their airship would soon arrive at the required location. And although the airship's journey was coming to an end, for the others, it was just beginning. As he left, Gon suggested that they discuss all the details when they arrived in Langara. Mose immediately agreed to this. But when the notification appeared in front of him, and Mose saw what level the quest was, his gaze immediately changed. The level changed to SS. Afterwards, everyone started discussing how the quest level had suddenly increased. Suddenly Gon said that if this continued, they would have to cancel the mission. But Aurora thought it might even be for the best. After all, he was sure that the newcomers would not be able to cope with this task. Yvonne wondered why the task's difficulty had suddenly increased. Then Kyer decided to turn to the document he had, and then he informed everyone that the source of the supernatural activity had been identified. Mose wasn't quite sure what that meant, It turned out that red lightning appeared on several continents, causing damage, and at first everyone thought it was a natural phenomenon. Aurora speculated about why lightning might be red. Gon was sure that this was what Garnus was referring to. Kyre agreed with this, but added that no one knew how the dragon got here. It was a level 17 monster of disaster class that came from an unknown continent. And after that there was silence. Suddenly someone said a voice, causing Mose to turn around. Aurora asked what the reward would be for this task, and Kyre said with a smile that it was 50 Ormacons from the Arantes Bank. Yvonne smiled and said that the honesty of the Order of Knights was amazing, but the girl wanted to get something else. When Kyre spoke about the right to trade food, the girl immediately agreed. And then the guy turned to Mr. Gon. I had to admit that the guy didn't know what to offer such a person. Suddenly the man said that he was not interested in the reward. After all, he wanted newcomers to join the quest on his terms. Mosey was lost when he saw the Grandmaster's invitation to join his team. Soon our heroes were greeted by a member of the Sincerity Caravan, Cyrus. However, Gon said that they were not worthy of such words. Mose noticed that Cyrus was level 177. Soon after, everyone started discussing their plan. Aurora asked how things were now. Saya replied that at the moment there was no red lightning observed anywhere. Realizing that this was a lull, Gon suggested that everyone act now. Aurora immediately said that he would go in the vanguard and take all the brunt of the attack. Gon agreed with him and said that the first line would be behind Aurora, and he himself would take care of the swordsman. Mose immediately realized that his task would be to attack from behind. Yvonne was ready to immobilize the enemy, Hare was ready to go with Gon, and Sir offered magical support, and Cyrus agreed to use a spell that would transport them closer to the dragon. After that, everyone got ready to perform. Finding himself in the snow, Mose couldn't see anything. But suddenly the clouds in the sky began to thicken, and then lightning struck behind Mose. Turning around, Mose saw that the snow behind him had been burned away. Thinking that the lightning was simply caused by the dragon moving its wings, Mose was shocked. At that moment, Carawel asked the boy to hurry, and then they quickly got to the rest of the team. Everyone was assembled, so Sayer suggested they begin. Then the man raised his staff and began to read the spell out loud. After this, the earth around began to shake, but Aurora noticed that it had become so quiet that his ears were ringing, and Mose's whole body began to shake from such powerful magic. But suddenly Mose noticed something off to the side. At that moment, Cyrus continued to cast his spell, and Sir was his support at that moment. Together, it was easier for them to cope with the move, and everyone else silently watched what was happening. Then they received magical support, which was very necessary now. Mosey immediately felt the power filling him, but suddenly the guy heard someone's roar. He immediately turned back in horror, and Gon had already grabbed his sword, realizing that the enemy was close. After that, he told everyone to be careful. Aurora reacted and immediately prepared a shield for protection. Yvonne also prepared for battle, as did Kyre, who had his sword ready. At that moment, Mose wondered where the dragon would come from. But the next moment a strong wind arose, caused by the dragon's sudden approach. A strong wind raised the snow into the air, and the others could not see anything. Sensing something was wrong, Mose turned back cautiously, and then he saw a menacing dragon looking straight at him. Then the guy froze in horror. Meanwhile, the dragon had already opened its mouth. Immediately after this, fire appeared in his mouth. Seeing this, Mose sighed heavily. But the next moment, the dragon only growled menacingly at everyone. Mose was so frightened that he couldn't stand on his feet and fell to the ground. Meanwhile, the dragon threw its head back, preparing to spit out fire. Seeing this, Mose thought that he would most likely die here. The next moment, fire burst out simultaneously with a menacing roar. Automatically, Mose closed his eyes and held his hand out in front of him, although it wouldn't have saved him. But Aurora managed to run up to him in time and put his shield under attack. And then he sternly asked Mose why he was sitting down if he should be in the rear. At that very moment, someone wrapped a rope around the dragon's mouth. With a grin, Yvonne asked the dragon to close his mouth for at least a moment. Gon praised the girl for her quick reaction. And then they decided to attack simultaneously with Kyre. To get a good blow, the man drew his sword back and applied all his force to the blow. The next moment, their double attack succeeded. It turned out to be successful, as it was able to pierce the dragon's skin. At that moment, Gon became convinced that such a tactic would help them buy time, and Hare agreed with it, and Mose admired how the strongest played. However, the dragon became angry and easily tore the rope apart. At that moment, Gon gave everyone the command to get ready. Aurora asked to rely on him, and his shield began to emit light, and then his powerful attack was created. She was powerful enough to withstand the dragon's flames. The collision of the two attacks created a small explosion, but over time, Aurora found it difficult to contain the flames. Then those who provide magical support decided to intervene. At that moment, Sir began to cast a spell. Cyrus joined him, and together they cast a spell for magical support. Suddenly, a magic circle formed above the dragon. When the dragon's flame dissipated, Aurora was glad about it. Because of this, the advantage was on Aurora's side. The dragon couldn't hold back the attack, so he took it upon himself. However, after that he looked more embittered. Aurora noticed that the dragon was too strong, and Mose was surprised that the man's level had increased so quickly. Mosey had seen this before, and it meant that NPCs could level up simply by picking up a weapon. At that moment, the dragon flapped its wings and spread them out. Aurora realized that the dragon wanted to attack from the sky, but Yvonne said that this could not be allowed. After this, white rose vines appeared from under the ground, and then they quickly wrapped themselves around the dragon's wings. After this, the girl tried to restrain the dragon alone. She said that they couldn't last that long, but Kyre asked them to hold on a little longer. After that, the guy rose into the air, and Mose looked at it with admiration in his eyes. Carawell told Mose to move forward, as while the dragon was tied up, this was their chance. After this, both newcomers quickly moved forward. However, a dragon suddenly appeared in front of them and blocked their path. Mose immediately sensed something was wrong and tensed up. After this, the dragon struck them both at the same time, thereby throwing them back. Carawell immediately inquired about the boy's condition, and he was fine. Mose naively thought they would be able to attack, but the dragon knew they would attack. At that moment, the dragon looked at them and roared. But suddenly someone started approaching Mose and Carawell. Stepping forward, Gon told the newcomers that tension was weighing on their shoulders. Afterwards, he said that by accelerating, they would deliver a more powerful attack, and it is worth remembering that the duet of technique and sword is the best weapon of a swordsman. At that moment, he wanted to set an example for the newcomers. And having attacked, the man said that one day they should become like that. The powerful attack immediately wounded the dragon, and from the severe damage, the dragon immediately fell to the ground. Mosey was thrilled that as Gon leveled up, he became even stronger than the dragon, and the man had no equal in technology. At that moment, Mose thought he had found himself an idol. Gon said that this was their chance, because now the dragon was wounded. Carawell called Mose to follow him, and the boy responded immediately. Mosey knew the raid wouldn't end until he did something. And after all this, Mose was enveloped in a mysterious aura. Gon immediately noticed that something had changed, and this made the man think that Mose had a great future ahead of him. Approaching the dragon, Mose raised his sword above his head, and then he struck the dragon's body. The attack wasn't strong, so it only angered the dragon. And then he decided to attack people too. Seeing this, Mose tensed up, but then Gon stepped forward and asked them not to strain themselves. After all, he thought that all of them here were still greenhorns. After that, he made a dash towards the dragon, and then he delivered a sharp and precise blow to the beast. Due to the serious wound, the dragon began to bleed heavily and fell to the ground again. Mose was delighted again, because nothing less could be expected from the Grandmaster. The man chuckled and asked if that would do. At that moment, Mose looked up in surprise. Care, who had approached, asked everyone to quickly move away from the dragon. After this, a spell was used that was supposed to attack the dragon from above. At the same time, the guy apologized to the ancient creature. At that moment, Aurora told everyone to quickly hide behind his shield. All this was done to save millions of lives. When the attack hit the dragon, he roared in intense pain. And from the magical attack, a bright explosion occurred. Immediately after this, the dragon was defeated. Mose was thrilled that they had managed to win, but suddenly something caught his eye. On the ground, he saw a cannonball that had fallen from the dragon. After this, the guy raised his thoughtful gaze. No one paid attention to the core, and Mose assumed that they couldn't see it because they were NPCs. And Mose too had to pretend as if he didn't see anything. And then he just kept looking forward. At that moment, Yvonne announced that the raid was over. During the battle, Mose rose 25 levels at once. Aurora left immediately after receiving the award. Yvonne called her people, who cut up the dragon's corpse. The girl left satisfied and asked Kyre not to forget his promise. After this, the guy thanked those who stayed, and Gon replied that meeting such talented guys was already a reward. Smiling, Kyre agreed with this. Mose thought it was hard, but Hare seemed to appreciate his efforts. After this, Gon addressed the newcomers. He spoke first to Carawell, who bowed respectfully. When they spoke to Muz, he did exactly the same. The man said that someday the word of their deeds would spread far and wide and reach his ears. The man said that he was looking forward to that moment, because he would be able to welcome the guys with open arms. After this, a portal was created that Gon was going to enter. Both boys silently watched the man go. Carawell stood up and said that he also had urgent business to attend to, so he had to go. After that, he said goodbye to Mose. After completing their task, Mose was satisfied. But when he was left alone, it felt as if the battle had never happened. At that moment, he turned his attention back to the core, It was still lying on the ground. Mose wasn't sure he could take the whole reward for himself, since he hadn't really done anything. But at the same time, he understood that it would be foolish to refuse such luxury, and to become one with talented warriors, he needed to become stronger than he was now. As soon as he touched the core, a bright light illuminated everything around. Mose even had to cover his face with his hand because of the strong light. And then he was surprised by what he saw. It turned out that in front of him was a full set of new armor. The first thing Mose decided to examine was the sword. At that moment, Mose discovered a sword that was legendary. And having noticed this, the guy could not believe that this was reality. Then a system notification appeared in front of him. And thanks to him, Mose was able to read about his new armor. Not believing it, Mose asked himself if this was a joke. After all, the reward from the dragon was as amazing as the beast itself. There was a program hosted by the popular Korean streamer Jack. He told everyone about the news in the game. Jack talked about a ranker battle in which anyone could participate. At that moment, Mario was jogging outside. Tired, he decided to sit down on a bench. Now he went for a run every day to develop his endurance and stay in the game longer. After the last game, he felt dizzy from playing for so long. It was even funny for Mario how he wanted to change his real life with the help of the virtual one. But in the end, the line between them became blurred. However, only in the game could he earn good money. Now Mario wanted to take the game seriously, and was not sure that it could be taken as ordinary entertainment. Suddenly he noticed what other people were doing. Everyone was engrossed in conversation, or spending time together. Mario then wondered if his life would be different if he hadn't been playing the game. However, the guy understood that the issue of lack of finances would not go away. And after that, he decided to return to where he belonged. While in the city, Mose thought about what to do next. Suddenly, he found a place where no one would notice him. Entering the alley, the guy took out a new sword from his inventory. But suddenly, he looked down in surprise. Suddenly, the guy felt a strong heat throughout his body. At that moment, a bright source of light appeared between the houses. When it was all over, Mose was surrounded by a golden aura. The guy immediately noticed that he had a headache, and the next moment he understood how to handle the sword. It turned out he learned how the passive skill works. But at that moment he heard someone approaching him. Turning around, Mose saw someone's silhouette. It turned out that there were people nearby who were also discussing something. Mose saw the guy talking on the crystal ball. Remembering his gaming friends, Mose thought it was a useful thing. Later, Mose did go to the store and buy a ball. And the next moment he was about to go to the sanctuary of Aspargan. The girl greeted the passengers of the airship and asked where they were going. When Mose told her where he was going, the girl asked her to follow her. Once inside the airship, the guy began to look around. Mose didn't understand why he was going in person, and Robin got away with a note. Suddenly, the guy heard someone talking to him. Kia asked if she would always have to wait for him now. Mose happily asked if she was flying with him. Kia reminded that they had a joint mission. After the flight, Mose was tired because it had been too long, but the girl asked him to look ahead. In front of them was a tower, which was a place of general trade. Mose was immediately impressed by this. At that moment, someone approached them and greeted them. It was Russell from the Information Guild, and the guy behaved very politely with the guests. As he climbed the tower, he told us a little about the tower. But when he said they would be located in the smelting room, Kay was confused. She then asked if Russell had been sent by their master. Hearing the question, the guy did not answer right away. And then he replied that he would tell me the details after his arrival. But before he started, he wanted to warn you about something. Russell said that everything said would be equal in importance to Robin's words. Then the swordsman bowed in understanding. After that, the guy opened some document, and he said that they were chosen to carry out the mission. Recently, artifacts were illegally brought in that were not supposed to fall into anyone's hands. Mose was a little surprised by this. Russell said that those items would soon be put up for sale, but they had no way to take the goods, and the swordsman's task was to buy back the artifacts. Kia was supposed to play the role of an aristocrat, and Mose was supposed to play her bodyguard. Soon the event began and famous people were greeted. When Kea entered the hall, everyone looked only at her. Mose was also delighted with the sight of the girl. The guy thought it was a great start. Suddenly someone came out to meet them. The girl invited Kay to join their table if it wouldn't be inconvenient for her. Kia curtsied and agreed to her proposal. After that, they followed the girl. However, for some reason everyone around started laughing. Noticing this, Mose began to feel tense. Soon they found themselves near a laid table. When introducing Kay, the girl mangled her name. The girl's sisters immediately began to laugh. Mose got angry and wanted to intervene, but Kay stopped him. After apologizing, the girl said that she simply wanted to speak in a different dialect. Afterwards, Kay answered the question about whether her family had vineyards, for which their homeland was famous. Then everyone was surprised that Kia received the title through agriculture. But afterward, they said that despite this, it was terrible to look like a slave for sale. Suddenly one girl was surprised. Now she understood why Kay's necklace was on backwards. Then another girl asked to fix the girl's jewelry. One of the knights responded to the order. He held out his hand, hoping that Kay wouldn't blame him. After all, he said that he was simply following orders. But suddenly his hand was intercepted. Mose asked angrily how the guard dared to touch the girl. He asked if they were looking for death. Seeing this, the girls became frightened. And Kaya just grinned. Kia asked if all the knights of the Anicap family were such idiots. Hearing this, the girls became indignant. And Kaya replied that she would like to resolve the situation with dignity, as aristocrats do. And afterward, Kay said that the Anicap family treated her rudely, so she requested a duel. Mose replied that he was ready for a duel. After that, his sword was engulfed in flames. All the people were in anticipation of the upcoming fight. The knight of the Anicap family was asked to protect their honor. After this, the man was ready to fight, and Mose noticed that the knight's level was not too high. When the knight struck, Mose easily dodged. For a guy, his movements were too slow, and with a sharp movement, he struck the knight. The man threw his head back from severe pain, and then he fell down, losing consciousness. Seeing this, everyone present was shocked. Everyone was delighted that the fight ended with one blow. But the girl got angry and sent another knight. Immediately, the young knight stepped forward. The boy promised to carry out his lady's order, and then he suddenly found himself behind Mose. While Mose didn't notice him, he prepared to strike, but suddenly the guy turned around sharply. And then he deftly parried all the sword blows. The young knight was surprised by this. At that moment, Mose asked if the blonde was finished. In the end, the guy only said that Mose was a monster. After this, Mose also knocked out the second knight, and then silence fell in the room. And then Kia walked up to her bodyguard. She said she was deeply disappointed with what was happening. Everyone had nothing to say in response to the words that ridicule was directed at her. The rest of the room also fell silent. Kaya asked us not to forget that all the world's cultures interacted in this place. Then everyone started clapping in surprise, and soon this sound filled the entire hall. And the mysterious man was glad that it had finally happened. The moment he had been waiting for had arrived. Kia was pleased that their auction went well, and the guy was still delighted with his partner. He praised the girl for the way she got into character, but Kaya replied that she had already dealt with the nobility before. Delighted, Mose asked when it was, and then he heard that Kaya was a slave in the house of an aristocrat. The girl said that their behavior and thoughts had become ingrained in her, but she admitted that at that time she wanted to kill herself. But now she was a swordswoman and she was different. At that moment, Mose apologized to her, but the girl hit him and asked him not to lose heart. And then she looked at the guy with a slight smile. She said that after the mission they would be given a good rest. Therefore, Kaya believed that they should successfully complete the mission. Later they discussed that they had 25 ormacons and 7,000 gold. But even if they buy the artifact for less, it won't end there. The girl said that we needed to get rid of the people who were hunting for these artifacts. Kia said that we would have to bargain to find those people. Mose was serious about this task, and soon they entered the hall. At that moment, the auctioneer greeted everyone. He explained that there would be artifacts available for purchase. And at that moment, they were ready to begin. As soon as the auction opened, applause could be heard. The first item for sale immediately appeared, and the presenter was ready to present the first lot. Kay and Mose were all ears. The first lot was a fingernail from the last princess of the destroyed kingdom of Ezrindel. It was not the right artifact, so our heroes breathed a sigh of relief. But then Mose saw that the item also had a task attached to it. The presenter said that the starting price is 3 ormacons. Someone immediately wanted to buy the item, and then the price quickly began to rise. But the presenter noticed that everyone had stopped at 17 ormacons. After that, he sold the artifact. Very quickly, Mose got tired of this event. But Kaya asked him to pull himself together, because the auction had just begun. The guy agreed that he needed to get it together. Afterwards, they were focused on the second slot. The information window was black, and Mose thought that the artifact was not so simple. The presenter announced the starting price 4 ormacons. At that moment, everyone stopped at 9 ormacons, but Kaya offered 25. The presenter asked who would give more. There was silence in the room, and our heroes thought that the slot would be theirs. Then the presenter was ready to sell the artifact, but suddenly someone offered 50,000 gold. Mose was outraged that someone was offering too high a price, but Kaya told him not to move. And then she offered 75,000 gold pieces. The presenter immediately accepted their price. Mose asked if the girl was in her right mind, but she just waited for a reaction. Then someone offered 100,000 gold coins. The presenter was delighted with this price, and Kaya was glad that her plan worked. Wanting to see the customer, Mose turned around, and then he froze in surprise. Noticing something was wrong, Kaya asked if everything was okay. Mose recognized the man in front of him. This man was also wanted on the A-list. It was the gambler Lyro. Afterwards, they started chasing the man. Together, they were able to block his path. The man was unhappy that they had first looked at him and now were following him. But Mose said he recognized him. The man replied that he had been waiting for their meeting. Mosey tensed up at the aura that appeared, as if he was about to be crushed into dust. Then Lyro decided to introduce himself politely. But Mose asked Kay to be careful, because she was an NPC and could not understand the full danger of the situation. But Mose knew that this man was a real monster. The man said it was a historic moment. Suddenly he thought about something. When Kay asked if they knew each other, Mose said that the man had previously sold him an artifact. Mose was surprised that he was remembered. And then the man suddenly came closer and said that their meeting was destined by fate. Mose was horrified that he was approached so quickly. However, Kaya stood up for the guy. The man was a little confused by this. Kia said she didn't know what kind of meeting it was, but she didn't want to just stand and watch. And then she rushed forward, saying that her sword would help her find out the truth. However, at that moment Lyra was already near Mose again. He decided to talk to the guy again. And then they disappeared, and in their place there remained only a purple flash. Kia immediately began to worry about Mose. Mose asked Lyra what it was, and the man replied that now Kay wouldn't find them, and they needed to talk alone. Mose was surprised that they wanted to talk to him, but the man chuckled at the fact that the boy was so scared. And then he agreed that he was worth fearing. At that moment, Mose was truly horrified. But soon Lyro's evil laughter died down. He admitted that during that lottery, he chose more than 1,000 immortals. But he was surprised that everyone rushed to sell the artifacts without really trying them out. Mose turned out to be different. And thanks to Mose, the plan was put into action. The man asked if all the meetings that eventually led here were accidental. And quickly Mose began to understand what was going on. Lyro asked the boy if he considered himself lucky. At that moment, Mose didn't understand why this happened. He was confused that this was not luck but Lyro's plan. Falling to the ground, Mose asked what was going on. And Lyro replied that he simply wanted to conquer the world with the hands of the immortals. At that moment he asked the guy to give vent to his anger. And in exchange for help, Lyro offered Mozu to also rule the world. But when the conversation turned to revenge for the family, the guy was surprised. Lyro asked to kill everyone who wore a golden crown. He continued to say that everything was in the guy's hands. Besides, he chose Mose. Mose was sad to realize what was happening, because Lyro wanted to avenge his family. Then he thought of Kay. He wondered if their meeting was part of Lyro's plan. But suddenly the guy said that he was not a pawn, and these were his own decisions. Hearing this, Lyro tensed up. Suddenly Mose said that despite this, he was grateful to Lyro. The pendant had given him a future, but now Mose was acting on his own desires. Surprised, Lyro asked the guy again. And at that very moment, Mose rushed into battle with the gambler. This made the man angry. Mosey hit his target when he struck, but then the guy saw a black shadow coming out of the man. Mose stepped back wary. Mose didn't understand what that black haze was, but Lyro said it was his strength. When Lyro said he could give it to the boy, Mose asked him to repeat it. Then the man gave him one last chance, join or die. The man said that the choice was Mose's alone. The guy was tense about what was happening, and then he replied that he didn't choose anything. Upon hearing the refusal, Lyro seemed to lose his mind and go mad with anger. Lyro continued to say angrily that after killing the Empire's minions, the whole world would be at the guy's feet. Then Mose replied that he didn't need it. However, the man continued to doubt this. Mosey left no other choice, so Lyro wanted to kill the guy. The guy chuckled and just wished her luck with it. The next moment, Mose didn't even have time to notice how Lyro suddenly quickly approached him. The man knew that the immortals were different from them. They saw and knew things that were inaccessible to others, and also that they came here from their own world. Having said that he had to sell his soul to the devil for this knowledge, Lyro pushed the guy aside. And then he asked if Mose had come here to find the meaning of his continued existence. Then the enemy's sword left a scratch on Mose's face. Lyro continued to say that it was he who gave Mose his new powers, and also dreams and new meaning. Moses then had to hold off the onslaught of his opponent's punches. Then Lyro asked why the boy refused. The man was angry that in his world Mose was only looking for pleasure, and didn't care what was happening around him. Mose agreed that he came here for the money, like many others. He did not deny that thanks to Lyro, he gained the power with which he was able to better understand this world. As Mose traveled, he saw that there was much beauty and interest here. Starting from that beach where he hunted slimes, and ending with Bin Caravan, vivid emotions haunted Mose in every place. Hearing this, Lyro began to feel a sense of hope. But immediately he heard that Mose would not destroy the world. Suddenly Mose said that Lyro probably didn't want to destroy everything either. So Mose wanted to take his pain and carry this heavy burden himself. But in response to this, the man only began to laugh. Mose waited patiently for the fit of laughter to stop. And Lyro asked if the guy really thought that someone who had been waiting for retribution for years would not want to see the end of the world. The man didn't understand how Mose could even talk such nonsense. After that, he pounced on Mose, wanting to stop everything here. Mose's health level at that moment was about 70%, and Lyro in anger wished the guy death. There was no real choice, and Mose had to fend off the attacks aimed at him. But then health dropped to half. As his health continued to decline, the man asked Mose to watch closely. Lyro wanted to show his hatred and revenge. After the subsequent attack, Mose's health dropped to 10%. The guy was shocked that he couldn't even strike back, but Mose knew he had to stop Lyro now. Mosey knew that otherwise Lyro would be plunged into an endless cycle of destructive desires, and the guy was determined to somehow interfere with this. At that moment, Mose's sword suddenly began to shine. Suddenly, Mose gained a new skill, Destructive Flame. The guy was surprised after reading about the new active skill. Afterwards, everything went blurry before Mose's eyes. But immediately afterward, he understood how to use the new skill more correctly. After swinging his sword, he thrust it deep into the ground. And for some time, the fire continued to hover around him. Because of the flames, Lyro could no longer get closer to Mose. The man's entire family was unjustly killed. After they were hanged, the murderers only had fun with it. But Lyro was filled with despair, pain, anger, and a desire for revenge. Soon the man was able to find hidden treasures and artifacts in the caves. He also had the strength to take up arms. After this, he was able to take revenge on those who killed his family. However, the murder took place in front of the child, who was now an orphan. In fear and tears, the boy begged not to kill him. Seeing him, Lyro himself recoiled from the child, and breathing heavily, he continued to tell himself that it was not his fault. Suddenly, Mose looked at the man in surprise. Then Lyro admitted that perhaps, deep down in his soul, he regretted what he had done. And slowly disintegrating into particles, the man thanked Mose and then said goodbye. At that moment, the boy noticed that the darkness had parted and sunlight was visible again. Mose thought it wasn't intentional, but Lyro was able to redeem himself. Hearing a strange sound behind her, Kea turned around, and noticing Mose, she immediately rushed towards him. Soon after, Mose looked with interest at the system notification. He had been given the hidden trait of a lucky destroyer. This trait unlocked 2 skills for Mose, and he assumed that Lyro used them when he distributed items to players. Mose felt like it was left to him as a legacy. And after talking with Lyro, Mose now looked at this game world differently. After all, the characters in it had the same human emotions, and because of this were very similar to real people. The characters followed a programmatic algorithm, but there was something special about their behavior. This led Mose to believe that the game was more like a parallel reality. Suddenly someone came up and asked Mose if he was okay. Mose cheerfully replied to Kay that everything was fine. Then the girl decided to ask the guy what he would do on vacation. However, Mose had no plans, so he asked what she was going to do. And Kea replied that she wanted to visit her relatives. Afterwards, she also said that she was from a small village in Ajaris, and when she invited Mose, he asked if he really could come. And Kea, with a bright smile, replied that she would wait for this. Sometime later, Mose was walking down a crowded street and complaining to himself about his bad mood. It was only after he said goodbye to Kay that he realized he needed to rest. Then suddenly he received notifications and Mose wondered what it could be. It turned out that Sharon had contacted him and asked how Mose was doing. Soon after, they all gathered and decided to drink to their meeting. Guile happily asked what Mose had been up to since their last meeting to become so famous. Mose replied that he had worked in many places and had been seen, which is why people talked about him. Afterwards, Gale also decided to share what had happened to him during this time. Without saying anything, the guy put his hand in his pocket, and then he showed everyone the magical paired ring that he received together with the girl. Sharon and Uncle immediately appreciated this artifact, and Mose congratulated the guy on the fact that he now had a girlfriend. But Sharon chuckled at the fact that the girl seemed to be an elf. Suddenly, Mose couldn't help but spit out his drink in surprise. He was very surprised that Guile started dating an NPC. But at that moment, he looked back and remembered the conversation with Lyro. People who traded reality for this game did not distinguish between NPCs and real people. But for now, Mose could still see that people were surprised by Guile's words. Although Mose himself has not yet decided how to perceive this. Suddenly he heard someone speaking to him. But immediately, Gale became embarrassed that he called Mose Sir, and suggested that he address him simply by his first name. Afterwards, the guy continued to say that he didn't do anything that time. But thanks to Mose, he was able to pay for his college education. Everyone listened with a smile as Gale told them that everything in his life was now going better. And Mose was a little embarrassed by such sincere gratitude. Then the guy said that if it weren't for Guile, they wouldn't have been able to save their wounded uncle. After this, Guile was already embarrassed by Mose's gratitude. Remembering Silburn, Sharon said that they all could have become casualties in that battle. Uncle added that people who suffered after this quit the game. But then they remembered that thanks to Mose, they defeated the boss. At that moment, Mose somehow remembered Lyro. Because in fact, the chance the man gave him affected other people too. Suddenly, Sharon said she was quitting her job. The uncle was not surprised by this, and the girl said that she wanted to concentrate on the diagram. After that, she also wanted to brag about something. The girl showed everyone her new bow, which she bought herself. Mose was surprised that the girl was able to buy the rare item she had been looking for a long time. But Mose knew well how much torment one had to endure to obtain such an artifact. Looking at Sharon, he thought that she and Gale had normal jobs. But he wondered what could be said about himself. After all, it all started from the moment he received the Florentine star. Mosey was just lucky, so he got artifacts and skills easier than others. And instead of trying to grow above himself, Mose relied on luck and Lyro's help. Mose realized that he had been taking things for granted. Although before this he always tried and asked to give him a chance. And Mose promised himself that he would enjoy the game, just like Guile and Sharon. At that moment, he thought that he needed to go back to the beginning and give it his all. Then he opened his eyes and addressed those present seriously. Since they hadn't seen each other for a long time, Mose suggested they complete some kind of quest. But at that moment, he still didn't understand how this whole undertaking would turn out. Gale admitted that he didn't expect things to turn out this way. Standing on the edge of the cliff, our heroes were surrounded by monitor lizards. As he made his way to the location of his quest, Mose pondered the task at hand, the destruction of the monitor lizards. Then Mose asked if anyone knew anything about these creatures. And Guile read in a book that monitor lizards belonged to a family of deep mountain monsters and lived in packs of up to 100 individuals. But my uncle found it strange that they had to destroy the colony. Sharon assumed that if the quest had a wyvern class, there would be more than 500 monsters. And Mose added that if they get rid of the leader, the other individuals will not pose a threat. Uncle agreed that usually the leader is in the rear and watches the battle. Guile was delighted that they now had to assign roles. He suggested that Sharon find traces of the colony. He himself wanted to help Mose in the fight, because he had magic at his disposal, and his uncle would cover everyone. Mose was surprised that everyone cared so much about him. Then Sharon said that he was the foundation of their team, and Guile agreed that with this plan, their chances of winning were the highest. Sharon nodded silently, confirming that they were counting on him. Uncle did the same, and for a while Mose didn't understand how to react to this. But a moment later, he resolutely agreed to it. A few hours later, they descended into a dark cave. Suddenly, Sharon discovered something. Immediately after that, she told everyone to stop. It turned out that she heard some sounds from below. Putting his shield forward, the uncle said that most likely they were in place. But suddenly Gale asked them to wait. He was surprised that the road ended here. And the uncle immediately noticed that there was only a cliff here. Then Gale shouted to everyone to be careful and not fall. But he didn't notice that at that moment someone had already approached him. And the next moment the monitor lizard pounced on the guy with its mouth open. Sharon tried to warn him of the danger. But Mose managed to come to the rescue, blocking the attack. The monitor lizard immediately decided to retreat. At that moment, Uncle asked about Gale's well-being. And the number of monitor lizards in the area only increased. Then everyone looked at the ceiling in horror, from where the monitor lizards were slowly emerging. Mose was horrified that there were too many of them. When he saw the notice that there were 1,000 monitor lizards, Guile was shocked. Then he heard a command from Sharon for everyone to return to their positions. However, at that moment the monitor lizards had already rushed towards Guile. Then their uncle stopped them from attacking them. And at that very moment, a bright light began to emanate from his shield. However, it was still difficult for them to withstand the onslaught of the lizards. Mose reported that their position was bad, and they could not line up as planned. But suddenly Gale was surprised by something. It turned out that Sharon continued to attack the lizards. Everyone understood that if the girl was blocked, they would not be able to save her. Then Mose called Sharon to them. Meanwhile, Mose tried to hold off the monitor lizards. After this, the girl began to move quickly, jumping on the monitor lizards. And in just a few moments, she found herself next to her comrades. And Mose realized with horror that it would take a very long time to kill the monitor lizards. Doubts also began to arise among his comrades. But Sharon told Gale to get it together. Despite her poor position, Sharon still tried to boost the morale of her comrades. However, it seemed that the plan had failed, and they had nowhere to retreat. But Sharon said they should at least try. Her uncle agreed with her, saying that she couldn't just give up. Besides, they still had no idea what the leader of the monitor lizards was like. Mosey thought he could break through the crowd, but he would take too much damage. Suddenly, a notification appeared on his screen. The guy had destroyed 100 monsters, so he could use a new skill. At that moment, without thinking, Mose activated the effect of Atoria's brand. The uncle promised to protect the boy to the maximum, but Mose said he could do anything. After this, a multitude of monitor lizards attacked the guy. Seeing them, Uncle began to worry about Mose. However, at that moment a fiery explosion occurred. The uncle couldn't see anything because of the bright light. But afterward, everyone saw that Mose had left nothing of the monitor lizards. And after that, the guy told everyone to move forward. After that, they began to gradually destroy the monitor lizards. Watching Mose, everyone found his fighting amazing. Although Sharon knew he was strong, she didn't expect this. After all, Mose continued to kill the monitor lizards one after another. That's why everyone found him incredible. When Mose asked if everything was okay, his comrade's answer was positive. And after that, they decided to finish off the monitor lizards. After this, their entire team began to confidently move forward. Everyone contributed to this task, and gradually, together, they managed to stop the attack of the monitor lizards. Remembering the old days, Mose felt a pleasant feeling of nostalgia, but suddenly Sharon was surprised by the notification that appeared. Everyone tensed up with the realization that the boss was about to appear. Then Sharon asked everyone to look deeper. Looking forward, Mose was surprised by what he saw. After all, someone came out to them, sitting on a monitor lizard, and their leader looked like a human being. Everyone was surprised by this. After all, a man really did come out to them. Afterwards, he suddenly said that his arms and legs were normal. Then Mose asked the stranger who he was, and then the guy said that he was a fallen man who was like them, but he fell. Mose didn't understand the meaning of his words. Pointing to his hump, the boy repeated that he was a fallen man. It turned out that the mother had thrown the hunchback off the cliff. When my uncle heard this, he thought it was inhumane. Mose wondered if there were people like him here. Having said that they had turned into bones, the boy noticed that those who had come looked like his parents. So he asked who they would throw down this time. When Gale said that was not why they came, the fallen man did not believe them, because his mother had told him the same thing. Afterwards, he said that they killed the monitor lizards, his friends who took care of him, and he taught them to live in peace. Hearing that the monitor lizards would fulfill any of his wishes, Mose was surprised, and the guy just grinned in response. Then he said that the hole needed to be destroyed. When they heard this, everyone was very surprised. Gale objected that if the mountain were destroyed, it would collapse all the nearby villages. But the boy replied that there were more bones here than anywhere else, because the king threw here everyone who was missing an arm or a leg, or had a hunchback. This news made everyone surprised again, and the uncle realized that everyone was being threatened with death. Parents were forced to disown their own children, just so the village would look good. This realization made the man furious. Then Sharon understood why people weren't happy when they took on this case. And the fallen man said that if they interfered in other people's business, he would get angry. Then there was silence. Mose noted that regardless of the reward, his team did not want to decide who lived and who died. The guy thought that this was probably the first time they were faced with a difficult choice. And looking at the boy, Mose realized that he, too, had not expected that they would face such a dilemma. Although the monitor lizards were a threat to people's lives, my uncle considered it unnecessary to kill them all. Approaching the others, Mose asked what they would do. Then the uncle suggested talking peacefully with that guy. Without hesitation, Mose began to approach the leader of the monitor lizards. And coming up, Mose apologized for killing the monitor lizards, but said that it was self-defense. Mose continued to say that if the mountain was destroyed, the hunchback's mother, who did not want her to die, might die. Then Mose promised to deal with the king so that no one else would be thrown here. The guy was delighted with this, because he would no longer have to watch the monitor lizard's sadness over the dead. Mose suggested that the boy leave here so that he could help other fallen children. With a smile, Mose promised to deal with the king while the hunchback would help other people. Then the hunchback asked if Mose promised this, because if he promised, they would do as he said. After that, they made their pinky promise. After this, Mose was about to leave, and then he told everyone that he had an idea. Later, they returned to the city and Mose contacted someone. The guy said that he would like to entrust one matter. When they entered the monitor lizard caves, everyone was surprised. The surprise was that there was not a single monitor lizard left, and after verification, the players were given 6,000 gold coins. After this, the players watched those who had checked them. Guile hoped Mose had everything under control. 2 hours ago, they were discussing what to do next. Sharon supported Mose's desire to receive the reward and deal with the king. Uncle thought that there had to be a way to do something like this. Mosey suddenly said that this game was free in terms of gameplay, and by that they meant any events they could imagine. He mentioned that the goal of the quest was to destroy all the monitor lizards. Then Uncle understood why Mose told that guy to leave the mine. Mose confirmed this, and said that if everything went according to plan, they would be able to get both the reward and revenge. When the detachment arrived in the city, everyone wondered if they were part of the nightly detachment. Everyone was whispering about whether the king would finally receive his punishment. Suddenly the horseman turned to the ruler of the castle and said that now he would answer for all the evil he had done. Smiling, Mose thought she had arrived at the right time. It turned out that the rider was Kia. The king immediately decided to go out to meet them. With a grin, he asked what the noble lady was doing in this wretched place. Seeing the king, the citizens tensed up. Suddenly someone fell down in front of the horseman and asked to be heard. The man admitted that he was threatened with death if he did not throw his daughter off a cliff simply because she was disabled. The guy chuckled at the fact that proof of guilt was brought to them on a silver platter. When the guy took off his hood, it became clear that it was Kair. The blonde man asked the king if everything people said was true. To this, the king replied that he was devoted to his country, and healthy people were the foundation of the future empire. When he said that the damned had no right to walk on this land, Mose's squad went berserk. While Larry continued to say that he had simply solved the problem, he did not feel guilty about it, and besides, only the emperor could intervene. But then the blonde replied that that was not why he came. Larry tensed up when he heard that they had taken on a task that required them to take revenge on the lord of the castle. After this, the man became furious, and immediately after that he gave the order to arrest everyone. This greatly frightened ordinary civilians. But Kair turned sternly to Larry, and then he looked up and asked the man what he was doing. The man heard that his actions were contrary to the laws of the shrine. The blonde said that creatures like Larry were poisoning this continent. Then Larry was outraged that someone could allow themselves to insult the owner of the castle. But Kara was only beginning to be irritated by his behavior. However, the guy calmed down almost immediately. And smiling, he said that since this was not his task, he would not interfere. His behavior surprised Larry. And after that, the man noticed that there was a haze around him. And moments later he was cut. With a quick movement, Kay dealt with him instantly. And the severed head fell to the ground with a characteristic thud. The residents were surprised that Larry was now dead. They were immediately overjoyed that they had finally been saved. And Moses' squad was surprised that his plan worked. Suddenly someone called out to the guy. Sharon showed what she found in the mine, and it seemed like it was for Mose. The guy was surprised when he saw the letter. The letter said that, as promised, they left with the monitor lizards, and Mose needed to come to the indicated point where the ship was. Mose was surprised by the information left. But at that moment, Kea spoke to him, complaining that it had taken her a long time to get there, and that the journey had not been easy. Kea was outraged that the guy's conscience allowed him to behave like that. But at that moment, Mose admitted that he missed her. Seeing his smile, Kea even felt embarrassed. Afterwards, they discussed the help that Mose asked her for. But suddenly Sharon asked Kay what her relationship was to Mose. The elf thought about this question, and to Mose's surprise, she replied that they were colleagues. Seeing that the boy had become depressed, the uncle told him to pull himself together. He was saddened that he had considered them more than just colleagues. But immediately Mose remembered that ship. Soon he found himself in the place he needed, and was descending the stairs. He suddenly wondered if it had become quieter here because the monitor lizards had left. Mose began to suspect that he had come to the wrong place when suddenly the water in front of him rose, and something very big appeared from it. Seeing this in front of him, Mose was shocked. After all, he saw a frigate in front of him. The notice made Mose wonder if he wanted to turn the ruins into a core. Without thinking twice, he agreed, and a bright light appeared before him. And a moment later, the core was in his hands. Coming out of the cave, Mose saw someone greeting him. He was a little surprised by the unexpected guest. It was Kair, who was surprised to see the immortal so often. However, Mose was also surprised that the blonde was here. Afterwards, Mose asked if Kaya would be accused of murdering the king. Surprised by his words, Kair decided to talk about their code. Although he agreed that what Mose said was true, Kay had broken the law. But suddenly Hare said that he was the same person as Mose. The guy was taken aback by these words. The blonde replied that Mose had done the right thing, and Hare also hated those who oppressed the weak. Having expressed gratitude to him and that swordswoman, Hare decided to set out on his journey. Mose thought about his words about them both being the same people. After her hangover, Kia said that some of the mugs yesterday were unnecessary. However, the girl was glad that she had found new friends this way. She admitted that she liked the immortals because they had no prejudices about this world, and she liked them because they didn't pay attention to the fact that she was a half-elf. Her words made Mose feel embarrassed. Afterwards, Kay reminded me that it was almost lunchtime and I needed to hurry, and she left. At lunch, Mose was asked about his plans. He admitted that he was thinking of finding a new quest, and asked if his comrades would join him. They immediately agreed with great enthusiasm. However, Sharon told Guile to earn his own fame, and after that they left the table. Kia asked where they were going, but Mose himself didn't know the answer. His words made Kay feel a little sad, but at that moment, Mose invited her to join them. The girl was surprised when she heard this proposal, but without thinking twice, she accepted Moses' invitation. As they set out, Guile was surprised by the view. While inside the flying ship, they were surprised by this luxury. When Kay asked where he got the ship from, Moose replied that it just happened. Turning back, Kaya asked who it was, and Mose replied that it was the guardian spirit and the basis of this ship. At that moment, the spirit announced that they would soon arrive in Espargant. It was a quick move. As they disembarked, Kaya asked if Mose was by any chance a wizard. Answering that this was not so, Mose called everyone to follow him. However, he saw that there was a crowd of people on the street. He immediately began to push his way through the crowd. And then he learned that all the branches of the Information Guild on the continent had closed. This surprised everyone on Moses' team. But suddenly someone called all the people to the square. Mose didn't understand what was happening, but he sensed something was wrong. And when they arrived at the square where the TV show was on, everyone was surprised. The screen showed corpses that looked real. Moses' face darkened as he wondered what was going on. Suddenly, someone said that the scheme was under their control and the Immortals could not stop the broadcast. The man on the screen addressed the Immortals, and all the viewers were horrified. The man said that the Immortals came to them, but who allowed them to do this? Everyone was surprised by the words that Immortals entered this world without permission. He said that no one liked their presence because they were invading here, and he believed that they did this in order to destroy, kill, and rob the inhabitants of this world. He then pointed to the invaders, whose lives were soon to end, but they could not return to their world. Mose was angry to realize that these were innocent people. At that moment, Lydorn, Prince of Logic, declared war on the Immortals, and Mose received a notification about a new quest, to defeat the prince. After this, panic broke out on the game's forum, and everyone wondered whether artificial intelligence was capable of such a thing. Soon, many began looking for teams to join the quest, and in no time, 1 million players had banded together to fight back. As he moved around the ship, Mose looked out the window. At that moment, Kaya approached him and offered him tea that she had prepared herself. Then Mose asked her what she thought about all this. But Kay didn't have any special thoughts. She was just surprised. She assumed it was because she had been at war since birth. She fought with wolves to avoid becoming their prey, or fought for her right to life because she was a half-breed elf. Kia admitted that she always fought for her own life, and other people's squabbles remained on the sidelines. But now for her it seemed like a distant past. One magician once said that he constantly opened passages from other dimensions into their world, and the elves turned out to be one of such races. At first, many attacked them, but in recent days, the two civilizations have found common ground. And although discrimination has not completely disappeared, there are now brave individuals like Mose. Although they were troublesome, Kaya understood that it was human nature, but many people came to love the Immortals. Then Mose decided to ask what Kay personally thought of them. Kia repeated that she liked them because they didn't remind her of her origins. And one of those turned out to be Mose for her. Hearing this, Mose became very embarrassed, and Kaya wondered what would happen if everyone looked at the world like Mose. But Mose knew that not everyone understood the players, and there must have been reasons for that. Mose believed that it was always difficult to watch others suffer. But Lydorn chose a method that harmed others. The boy didn't know what the prince's motivation was, but he shouldn't have done that. And Mose was determined to put an end to it. Meanwhile, battles were already taking place in some regions. The warrior considered it impossible that an entire army of players and NPCs could be instantly destroyed. And the question arose, is it even possible to defeat Lydorn? As he continued on his way, Mose simultaneously heard that the first guild that entered the battle was destroyed. Kia noticed that the situation was getting worse, and Mose thought it was worth joining in and helping. But Uncle was surprised that Mose wanted to join the fight right now. But then he asked what the others wanted to do. The team looked at each other and nodded, and then Mose immediately heard that they would like to join. It was obvious that he was stronger, so Uncle believed that Mose should lead them. Sharon and Gale echoed these words. However, Mose doubted his team's opinion. But suddenly he noticed Kay's gaze and fell silent. The girl nodded calmly to him. After that, Mose was able to exhale and relax, and then he said that if they believed him, they could become his comrades in this battle. Everyone liked what Mose said. Kia also promised to help Mose in this battle. Having thanked his comrades, Mose promised to always move forward. Meanwhile, in the field, one army was preparing for battle. It turned out that their tank warriors had low health. The warrior didn't understand how they could stop Lydorn at all. Suddenly, someone contacted them and said that most of their unit had been killed. But their side was in the same situation, and they could not fight any further. It was then proposed to join forces, and another detachment was located on the riverbank near the plain. The detachment commander was immediately ready to move out, but suddenly someone asked to look back. Lydorn's army was approaching them again. The order was immediately given to flee to the plain to join up with others. At that moment, a commotion arose. Some warriors decided to try to buy time. However, they were immediately approached, ready to kill. Everything happened so quickly that the warrior didn't even have time to do anything. But suddenly, Lidorn's army was stopped by a strong light. The intervening magician asked the warrior to go to the others. But some recognized the player who first entered the White Tower. This was the third in the official ranking of magicians, Kellyan. Meanwhile, the commanders were perplexed by the fact that an army of more than 10,000 warriors had been destroyed. Kellyan, however, thought they were lucky to be alive at all. But one of the guilds was destroyed, and its leader was indignant that who knows what they were doing on the front lines. When the argument started, Kellyan decided to stop them, as it was not the right time. Suddenly, they all turned around at a sharp sound. There was a noise and everyone started preparing for battle. While everyone was running around, Kellyan stood rooted to the spot. This was because he saw a huge enemy army on the horizon. Then he wondered if they would be able to stand it at all. Lidorn apologized to his comrades for following him, abandoning the throne and honor. He believed that their loyalty was so great that even the sun goddess could not eclipse it. Lidorn believed that he had foolishly entrusted his soul to Lady Aina. However, if he can take his enemies with him to hell, he is ready to die hundreds of times. After this, his entire army of black griffins headed into battle. The players tried to hold back this onslaught. However, one after another, they were killed. Kellyan tried to support the other players. He understood that his forces were running out, and at this rate they would be destroyed. But suddenly he saw a notification that one player was requesting 1,000 mana. After that, he suddenly saw a flying ship in the sky. At that moment, the spirit of the ship was able to capture almost 2,000 people. And immediately after that, fire was opened on the army of griffins. Seeing this, everyone was surprised. But while the enemy was confused, they decided to attack the army of griffins. Meanwhile, someone was watching from above. Mose waited for his team to be ready, and then they were ready to perform. After this, a sharp beam of light brought them down to earth. When he landed, Mose was serious, and his team looked confident. After that, Mose sent everyone into battle. Instantly, Kea attacked several warriors. Sharon immediately joined the battle after her. Uncle promised to delay the enemy and told Mose to move forward. Mose immediately responded to those words and began to move forward. But suddenly they came up behind him. At that moment, someone was able to cover Mose. It turned out to be Kellyan, who was glad of their help because he was able to avoid death. He was surprised by Mose's ship and helped him up. But Kea told them that now was not the time for pleasantries. Both boys agreed with her and entered into battle. After this, Mose began to inflict merciless attacks on his enemies. However, sometimes he could be caught off guard, and Mose realized that everything was not as simple as he thought. His opponents were strong, and each of them was equal in strength to a detachment of ordinary warriors. However, Mose was not about to give up. Using the power of his sword, he instantly launched a fire attack. However, his opponents were not about to retreat either, and Mose realized that he had gone too deep into their ranks. Because of this, he had difficulty repelling their attacks, and at that very moment he collided with someone's back. Then he asked the girl if she was okay. After that, he asked the girl not to worry, because he would protect her. Hearing this, Kea smiled, and rushing into battle again, she replied that she could handle it herself. And turning around, she asked Mose to watch himself. Hearing her, Mose only nodded silently. He thought that there was something he could do, but suddenly the guy looked up, and then he prepared for battle and greeted his opponent. In front of Mose at that moment was Lidorn. For a while the guy looked at his opponent in silence, but after just a few moments their swords clashed in battle. Mose immediately realized that he would not be able to hold off the attack for long. At that moment, Lidorn attacked him and pushed him away. Unable to stay on his feet, Mose rolled backwards. A dizziness effect was applied to him, causing Mose's vision to blur. Lidorn came close and was ready to kill Mose. Mose tensed, but didn't want to give in. At that moment, his uncle stood up for him. However, the man immediately received minor cuts. Lidorn replied that it would be very presumptuous to stand in his way. Then he asked if they knew why they called him the White Wolf. This was because those who opposed him always died from the wolf's fangs. At that moment, a sword appeared out of thin air and pierced the man's body. Seeing this, Mose was worried about his comrade. The man said that it was very painful with just one blow. Turning around, he only managed to say that he would be the first to leave their squad, and Mose was overwhelmed with various emotions at that moment. Looking at the guy, Lidorn said that he would be next. However, at that moment Mose became angry, and the sword in his hands began to burn. The Solar Fury was activated and Mose promised to kill Lidorn. Immediately after that he swung. However, Lidorn skillfully repelled all his attacks, but soon Mose began to oppress his opponent. Then Lidorn noticed that the guy was getting stronger with every second. Mose threw a punch, but it was immediately blocked. But despite this, Lidorn was still thrown back. Gradually, anger only filled Mose more and more. Lidorn said that the immortals also had feelings, and the death of their comrades affected them. However, Mose told him to shut up, not wanting to listen to him. But Lidorn reminded that the deceased was immortal, and this was not a great tragedy. Lidorn asked if Mose could imagine what it must have been like for Lidorn when he had to say goodbye forever. After this, the blonde furiously attacked his opponent. Mose struggled to hold back his onslaught. Lidorn was strong before, but now he has surpassed himself. Calling the immortals murderers, Lidorn pushed Mose away. The guy said angrily that they had no right to walk on this land. Lidorn asked to look death in the eye, for he carried the sword of retribution and came to punish. At that moment, Mose noticed a sword heading towards him. At that moment, he was seriously wounded. And then Mose collapsed at the feet of his opponent. Lidorn said that they, the immortals, were not the masters here, and could not do whatever they wanted. He asked who gave them the right to control the lives of those who were dear to him. But suddenly someone started approaching them. It was Sharon and Gale. Noticing them, Mose asked them to come back. But at that moment, Lidorn had already waved his hand. And at that very moment, the sword pierced Guile. Seeing this, Sharon was horrified. Lidorn wanted Mose to feel powerless while the people he cared about were killed. Mose asked him to stop, but it was no use. At that moment, a sword also appeared behind Sharon. Turning around, the girl saw him approaching her face. But at that moment, Kellyan appeared and covered Sharon. Seeing him, hope for saving Sharon appeared in Mose's eyes. Lidorn, on the contrary, was surprised and dissatisfied with this. Afterwards, the players disappeared, and Lidorn's sword sank into the ground. Mose was surprised that they just disappeared. The other players saw the army approaching them. Someone struck a precise blow, hitting the griffin in the neck. The final blow to the beast was dealt by Kea, and when it started raining, she thought it wasn't the best moment. But suddenly she looked forward in surprise. She saw Mose talking to Lidorn. Angered, Mose asked him to stop, but the blonde didn't understand what the guy was talking about. He considered the immortals to be hypocritical egoists, and their sorrow to be self-deception. Mose was outraged by his words, and Lidorn explained that after a few days the immortals returned to their world again. But the flame of his beloved was extinguished forever because of the immortals. Those people returned and Lidorn killed them each time, but one day their words struck him. It was a phrase about how they were tired of playing. Lidorn realized that for them, everything that was happening here was a game, and Mose realized that this was indeed true. He wanted to say something in reply to Lidorn, but he couldn't find the words. Lidorn said that immortals always broke the law and did not want to take responsibility, and Lidorn decided to take on this problem and deal with it. He asked if Mose still thought he had the right to stop him, and Mose didn't know what he could do to counter Lidorn's anger. He had to admit that Lidorn was right, but Mose couldn't back down. It was for those who continued to fight with all their might, and for those who were dear to Moses. Mose knew he was the only one who stood a chance against Lidorn. Even though the solar rage wasn't working, Mose still wanted to put an end to it. At that moment, Lidorn pounced on the guy, but Mose noticed that the blonde had developed a weak spot. Then Mose took aim at that spot, but suddenly he was asked if he thought he had found a weak point, and after that he got hit in the shoulder. This was colossal damage, as health dropped to 20%. At that moment, Mose thought he was going to die, but suddenly he heard someone calling him. It was Kea, who was already rushing to his aid. Seeing the girl, Lidorn looked at her with interest, and then he asked if she was one of the immortals. This immediately made Mose feel tense. Then Mose told his friend to get out of there, and Lidorn asked the girl if she knew Mose. Stopping, Kea said that it was so. Lidorn asked if she was willing to sacrifice her life for some player. This question made Kea think for a bit. Watching this, Mose tried to stop what was happening. After thinking for a moment, Kea replied that she was ready to do this, because Mose was dear to her, and it didn't matter to her that Mose was immortal. She was ready to die for him, and she didn't care that he was different. The girl said that she had nothing to say to Lidorn, since he had made his decision. Having prepared her sword, she said that he could judge her. However, Lidorn was a little glad that she chose death. After all, he was going to kill her anyway. At that moment, Mose jumped up, wanting to stop Lidorn. Then he could only throw his sword towards Kay, but this was enough to save the girl. Lidorn was very surprised by this. It angered him that even after being seriously injured, Mose tried to stop him. At that moment, he swung at the guy, and frightened, Mose decided to call upon his sword. And the next moment, the sword broke through the armor and pierced Lidorn's body. Lidorn was angry about this, and at the same time refused to acknowledge what had happened. And then he said that he was just a spark that would become part of a bigger fire. When his body was exhausted, he said his mission was complete, but others had to take his place and fan the flames of war. After Lidorn's death, the quest was completed. When Moses' levels started to rise, he couldn't believe they had done it. But then he turned his attention to Kay again. Angered, he asked why she had risked herself like that, but she reassured him by saying that it was necessary for the sake of defeating Lydorn. Afterwards, Mose asked the girl to never do that again, and they hugged. And then Kea suggested praying for Lydorn. Without thinking twice, Mose agreed to this, and for some time they continued to stand in the rain. After Lydorn's death, much changed in the scheme. In some areas, groups emerged that were hostile to the players. They decided to continue Lydorn's work, and innocent players continued to suffer. And the White Tower established the magic of branding, which allowed everyone to identify trolls. The Information Guild placed a bounty on such individuals, and soon hunters for such trolls appeared. But Mose continued to think about something, because everyone was discussing his flying ship. Players continued to argue about whether Mose was an NPC, but the guy considered these arguments stupid. After Lydorn's death, a mark remained on Mose. But Kea calmed him down and suggested taking a vacation. When the guy saw the notification that preparations for his training were complete, he promised to come soon. The interior walls of the ship's floor were further strengthened with magic. Mose thought it was a great introduction. Then he summoned his sword, and he decided to take something else in his right hand. It was a sword that Mose had not previously had. It was called Karma and was received after Lydorn's death. With this sword, Lydorn killed Mose's comrades, and it itself was a legendary artifact. But with the help of this sword, Mose could now handle 2 swords at once. This was a new skill. The new skill allowed the use of runes to direct swords to selected targets, and now Mose could use long-range combat techniques. However, now there was a nuance. The swords returned to the mouse with a sharp edge, and to catch them at high speed, sufficient force was needed. After the first sword, the second one had to be caught, but Mose was able to successfully catch him too. Naturally, he was immediately delighted with his success, but suddenly something pulled him sharply back, and Mose just collapsed to the ground. Mose was angry that he couldn't handle 2 yet. He continued to be angry because of his failures. He remembered the deaths of his comrades and how powerless he was. Mose wanted to train more and didn't want to stop. Then he was determined to keep trying until he finally succeeded. After a hard workout, he left the gym, but suddenly he looked forward in surprise. He saw Kei, who was waiting for his training to end. Kia noticed that he was all dirty and gave him clean clothes. Mose was a little taken aback by this. In Mose's hands was a shirt that was rare. Since they were going to Kei's hometown, she gave him clothes from her town. Mose immediately agreed to change clothes, but clutching the fabric in his hands, he continued to think that he had to become stronger. After all, he wanted to protect his loved ones. The director asked his subordinate if he had brought everything. The subordinate replied that everything was warm, because they received it today. Seeing the result, the man was happy about it, and then he said that that was why he couldn't stop playing. Mose looked up, his surprise uncontrollable. Before him was the free city of Askarus. Unlike Mose, Kea was at peace with the palace. Suddenly she said that in the past, alchemists had conducted experiments here on some kind of limitations. Or at least, that's what they said. After that, this place became a wasteland where nothing grew until Geysa, the wisest of the elves, blessed this land. This is how this city came into being. When asked why he was free, Kea replied that they did not have a specific ruler. Mose was surprised and asked who dealt with the criminals. This was done by a conglomerate, where there was a representative of each race. Therefore, in the city one could hear many different opinions from different races. Mose was surprised by the customs of this city. Until recently, Mose made ends meet with the help of this game. As a result, he began to go through many difficulties. He killed his first boss, and together with friends I completed the first team quest. And in the end, he was even able to join the ranks of swordsmen and meet Kei. Mose considered himself fortunate to have built relationships with good people. And so, in the last battle, he made an important decision for himself. Now it was Mose's duty to protect those he held dear. The guy was pulled out of his thoughts by someone's voice. Kei wondered what he was thinking about, but Mose didn't want to answer. Then Kia led him along, because she wanted to show him a lot. For a moment, Mose was surprised by this. He suddenly thought that looking at her smile, he promised to protect Kia. Soon after, they stopped at a bar. Suddenly, a friend of Kei's approached her. Having recognized the dwarf, the girl was delighted to see Lorad. She immediately introduced her friends to each other. While Kea was praising her friend, Lorad felt embarrassed by this. But immediately, Lorad and Mose politely shook hands. Suddenly, the gnome's gaze began to express surprise. It was because he noticed the swordsman's ring on Mose. Then Kia said that they were not there for work. They were on vacation. However, she was sympathetic to public opinion, as if swordsmen always stirred up problems. However, when Lorad started talking about some business, Kea became interested. And then he showed something. It turns out it was a new drug that was absorbed through the skin, and it was called Venetic. And it was so easy to get that even children could get it. However, Kea knew that the elders of Ajarus had imposed a ban on drugs. Lorad said that many immortals arrived in the city, and then factories began to be built. And soon after that, Venetic started being sold in every bar. And it turns out that Lorad even guessed who was behind this. But he didn't have time to finish speaking, because a group of people entered the bar. He tensed up when he saw them. And then he quietly said that they were Venetic's traders. He knew that those people owned a giant factory where they most likely produced the drug. Then Mose turned his frowning gaze to those people. He immediately realized that they were players. Kea asked what their guild was called. There have always been a lot of people in the Pickup Artists Guild. Everyone was having fun both inside and outside. The director was informed that 3 half-elves and 6 limps had worked today. But he got angry, because he had said earlier that he needed at least 5 half-elves. But then the other workers decided to calm him down. Hearing that guests from Valum had arrived, the man calmed down. Afterwards, he asked to bring them back intact. The worker hurriedly left the director's office. And then another person came in and asked if the director had made up his mind. Afterwards, he said that he saw something interesting at the bar yesterday. The director was surprised to hear about the half-elf who was in the company of the player. Afterwards, he quickly snatched up the photographs he had taken. And then the man said with delight that this is exactly what he wanted. And looking at the photograph, he said to bring this girl. Even though she wasn't alone in the photo, it was Kay who caught his attention. When Kea offered Mose food, he was delighted. As he stuffed the food into his mouth, Mose thanked the girl for her cooking. When he liked the taste of the food, it made Kay happy. And then she said that her friends would soon arrive, and she wanted to introduce Mose to them. But suddenly Lorad burst into their house. Immediately Mose asked what happened, but the dwarf only spoke of something terrible and asked to follow him. Someone suffered severely from food poisoning that would not stop. Watching this, our heroes were horrified. Kea recognized her friend who asked her to give her Venetic. Like a madwoman, Shara repeated that she needed Venetic. Suddenly something caught Moses' attention. He noticed strange marks on the elf's neck. Kea asked the Lord to give at least some explanation of what was happening, and he only said that these two were forced to take drugs. Hearing this, Kea was furious. Realizing that this was the work of the pickup artists, Mose also became angry. At that moment, they continued to hear the girl's screams. Mose was angry that the drug was not only being distributed, but that he was also being forced to take it. While Kea was in tears, Mose approached her, and afterward he said that the culprits would receive the punishment they deserve. Kea asked if he swears to it, and Moses' answer was firm and confident. The holy treasure was the giant's petrified eye, and this was the first hotly debated topic. And the second such topic was Venetic. If it is not taken once a day after the first use, severe poisoning will occur, and such poisoning could have caused death. Only high-level mages and alchemists could remove the poisoning effect, but the price for their services was very high. Therefore, those who used the drug could be considered slaves to the drug. There were 2 men standing guard at the guild. Kea and Mose were walking straight towards them. Mose asked if this was the place Lorad had told them about. Earlier, Lorad said that those half-elves received an invitation from the troll's minion. Lorad was saddened that their birthdays were coming soon, and their favorite bard was coming to town. Now he regretted that he had not kept his friends from going on that trip. And Kea was furious with the troll's minions, but she was grateful to Mose for going with her. The girl admitted that when they entered, she was ready to chop up everyone there. Mose agreed that such people could not be forgiven, but they were already almost at the entrance to the guild. When they approached, they were immediately stopped. The man said that today entry was only for VIPs, and the seat was already reserved. But for the half-elf, they were ready to make an exception and let Kea through. The guards said that this was the organizer's order. When Mose replied that he was her escort, they didn't care. After all, the guy wasn't half-elf. Mose was angry that he was told to leave peacefully. However, Kea proceeded inside. Worried about her, Mose asked where she was going, and the girl replied that she would just see what was going on there and come back. Even though she asked him not to worry, Mose was still worried. At that moment, she came up to him and took his hand. And then Kea asked to give her 2 hours, and if she didn't return during that time, Mose could do whatever he saw fit. Mose was surprised when he heard this, but he agreed almost immediately. As she left, Kea said that the truth was revealed only to the sword. Mose bowed and repeated the same phrase. After that, he watched as Kea moved away. Mose wanted to turn everything around here, but he knew he had to wait. After all, he trusted Kea. Kea walked purposefully through the crowd. She tried to find those who harmed her friends. Suddenly, she heard someone speaking to her. Kea immediately recognized the drug dealer she had seen before. The girl agreed that she was alone here, and it was very interesting here. And then the man offered to show her everything here. Seeing that the man was touching her, Kea became angry. But it was too early to start a fight, so she just smiled. Turning away, she said that it would be great if they showed her everything here. All this time, Mose was restless, and finally he heard Kay's voice. She immediately complained that her ears felt numb, and then she said that someone agreed to tell them everything. The tied-up man asked if they knew who they were dealing with. He threatened that after this they would not remain alive, but Moses' gaze was stern, and after that he struck with his sword. As he fell to the ground, he continued to feel severe pain, and Mose demanded to tell them the truth. The man soon realized that it would be better for him if he cooperated. Then he apologized and said that it would not happen again. Pointing to the drug, Mose asked if it was their doing. The man hesitated to answer until he noticed Moses' sword. Mose guessed what their captive was thinking and demanded that he not do anything stupid. Then the man admitted that Venetic was made by a guy named Jason. He said that it was a level 57 alchemist. Hearing that the alchemist worked for the director, Mose was surprised. Kia remembered that Lorad had once told her about this group of players. Afterwards, the man said that he had told everything he knew, and therefore asked to be let go. But Kea remained angry, and then she told us to leave, leaving the bio-waste here. The man was a little surprised that they left so easily. After that, he intended to kill them, because he remembered them. But suddenly Mose remembered that this guy had some problems. That's why he wanted to deal with the man so that he wouldn't think about revenge. He told the man that he would simply answer for what he had done. Meanwhile, the director did not understand where his subordinate had gone. The servant said that the director would soon get what he wanted, but he was irritated, and pouring out the drink, he asked when exactly this would happen. The director was indignant that he had to wait so long for delivery. He demanded that it be delivered immediately after preparation, because he couldn't just sit around doing nothing. Afterwards, his employee apologized and promised to start making deliveries soon. Afterwards, the director fired his employee. After this, he turned his anger on others present, and swinging at them, he told them to get lost too. Frightened, the two guys also quickly left the director. Still angry, the director drained the bottle of alcohol. When the missing man was found, he continued to apologize and express gratitude. Leaning towards him, they reminded him that that thing cost a lot of money, and then they poured medicine into his mouth. When the man came to, he was asked what had happened, and he confessed that he was kidnapped by a half-elf and a player, and these were the very ones their director had spoken about. The man assumed that if they had left recently, they must have been nearby. Then he ordered to contact the people in the village so that they could destroy everything there. At that moment, war was declared and the village was ablaze. Many of them were wounded and beaten. Mose was horrified when he saw what was happening. The entire village was destroyed and the inhabitants were seriously injured. Mose didn't understand what was happening. Having found Kia, he immediately heard her request to look forward. Seeing the sign with the appointment, Mose guessed that it was because of them. But Kea didn't want to forgive something like that. At that moment, Kea promised to tear them into small pieces. After that, they wanted to visit the troll's tongue. The TV presenter welcomed all viewers, and the guy said that he was in the place where the treasures were supposed to be led, and soon the eye of the new humanity had to show them its power. But suddenly the ground beneath everyone's feet began to shake. At that moment, the holy treasure appeared on the roof. And immediately after that, a bright light illuminated the entire city. Everyone was surprised and didn't understand what was happening. And after that, symbols appeared in the sky. The presenter said that it was said that someone had comprehended all the secrets of this world, and people would see the greatest thing they had ever seen. After this, a list of new ratings was added, which delighted the players. But in the troll language, everyone was surprised by the innovations. Everyone was discussing the new ranking system. But someone was discussing more important matters. The director was worried about when the goods would arrive to them, but he was warned that it would take a lot of effort to tame it. But the director said that taming was his specialty, and he could handle it. He wanted to ask for something else, but he got distracted. It turned out that Kay and Mose entered their room. Kia walked ahead, holding her sword in her hands. Suddenly, the director said that in real life she looked cooler than in the photo. Then he said that he expected less, but here was such a gift. Afterwards, he asked to bring the girl, and all the servants headed in her direction. Jason introduced himself to them and mentioned that they had had a good time with their man earlier, and he wanted to show what would happen if you climbed where you shouldn't. After that, everyone rushed, wanting to bring the half-elf. But suddenly a notification came out and someone saw a familiar name. But almost immediately the realization came who Mose was. He was the most popular player. At the same moment, Mose struck down many enemies. The man didn't understand what the #1 ranked player was doing here. And watching the guy, he realized that it was time to leave here. After all, there was no chance against such a player. However, at that moment the sword was already heading towards the man. Having reacted, he managed to put up a barrier in front of himself. However, the sword broke through it without much effort. The man was surprised that his defense was broken with one blow. Realizing that it was a legendary artifact, the man could no longer do anything. And at that very moment he was pierced by a sword. And at that moment, Mose was able to increase the level of his new skill. He looked up, trying to find the director. However, the director tried to run away in a hurry. He was outraged that the ranker was in such a wretched place. As he got into the car, he continued to complain that Mose seemed to think he would get away with it. At the same moment, he connected the security system. He decided to gather all his people. As he set out, he threatened that if they were not ready, he would tear their heads off himself. Upon arrival, all the people greeted the director. Hearing that he had woken them up in the middle of the night made him a little angry. When asked if he was high on drugs again, the man replied that he didn't want to be lectured. But the complaints continued, so he grabbed the worker by the collar, and then he repeated his demand to shut up. But then he was told that the Information Guild had announced that the Pickup Artists Guild needed to be destroyed. Then the director said that the company was falling apart for various reasons. After leaving, he demanded that the problem be resolved and that they stop pestering him. At that moment, he demanded that the door be opened. The man became angry and gave orders to stop anyone who tried to enter. Taking some artifact, the guy grinned at the fact that with this, he could defeat even Mose. It was a legendary artifact called the Varibarden Earring. When the threat approached their guild, all the guards were on alert. But then Mose asked them to bring the director here themselves. But the man only exchanged glances with his men. And then they opened a suitcase in front of them, containing a lot of money. The man chuckled at the large sum of money it was. But Kia promised that their director would pay for turning her friends into drug addicts. But then the man demanded proof of such a serious accusation. But Mose didn't care that someone else's company would collapse because of them. Hearing this, the man also became angry. And then he told Mose to know his place, because the director should not talk to people like them. And then he chuckled at the fact that NPCs like Kay couldn't know this. But if something like that were said towards Kay, Mose was ready to make them eat dirt. Then everyone started laughing and asking if Mose's parents knew what he was doing. And then the man told Mose that if he attacked them, he could say goodbye to the scheme. But Mose only asked if the man was finished. Seeing that the guy was furious, the man was a little surprised. And then he grinned at the notice that said Mose had declared war on them. But at that moment they did not notice that they were being attacked. It was Kia, whom no one could even keep track of. The enraged elf swore what she intended to do. Her appearance made everyone else wary. And Kia said that she would kill each of them. At that moment she rushed forward. And then she dealt a fatal blow to one player. She swung her sword and wiped the human blood off him. Turning around, the man saw Mose approaching him from behind, but he seemed to look more intimidating than Kay. Then the man asked them not to meddle in things they couldn't figure out. But not wanting to listen to him, Mose attacked without warning. And afterward, Mose said that the man would regret what he had done. Mose said that he couldn't fix everything by simply relogging into the game, because Mose had no intention of leaving anything of their organization behind. Meanwhile, the director was indignant about what had happened. He said he didn't want to do it, but he had no choice. Taking the lighter, he said that there was nothing else that could be done. Walking forward, he said that the evidence must disappear, and he assumed that the player who entered the factory would be blamed for the fire, and the one who covered for their guild will take over the investigation. Turning to the dwarf, the man asked how he felt about it. Meanwhile, Kay and Mose were already inside, and suddenly they came across the one they were looking for. The director chuckled at the fact that the great Mose had graced them with a visit, and then he turned his gaze to the girl. Hearing that she had a cute face only made Kia furious. Immediately after this, she attacked the man, and when she almost reached him, a bright light appeared in front of her. Then the director said that surprisingly she was quick. Hearing this, Kaya was surprised. It turned out that the man was able to grab her sword by the blade and not even get injured. And after that, he swung his sword and said that now it was his turn. But at that moment, Mose hurried towards them, and by intervening in time, he was able to push the director away. The incident caused chaos in Azurus, and the local branch of the Information Guild launched an investigation. They began to investigate everything, from the attacks in the village to the distribution of Venetic. The series of events shocked the public, and soon he and Kaya were considered suspects in a genetics case. Mose was outraged that they caught the director, but they suspected. Everyone was discussing heatedly the fact that different elders were concerned about different events. At that moment, everyone was asked to remain silent, and then they decided to introduce the word to the Elder of the Leaves, and the man said that he would like to listen to those who were in the building during the fire. Kay and Mose prepared for the first question. The foreman was in no hurry to ask a question and looked gloomily at the accused. Mose wondered why he was looking at them like that. And then the man asked what connected them with pickup artists. Kia was surprised by the question, but the next question was whether they set the building on fire because of the order given. And then he mentioned that Kay and Mose were swordsmen. Mose noticed that everyone in the room started whispering. Mose decided to argue that even though he was a swordsman, he had done nothing wrong. But he was interrupted and told that swordsmen usually carried out secret missions, and perhaps this time they needed to set fire to the factory. Kia objected that this was not the case, but the man said that he didn't expect any other answer, because for them, this mission was supposed to be secret. And then the man said that the swordsman received the task from the guild to set fire to the factory. And then Mose remembered that one of the elders was supposed to be on the side of the pickup artists. At that moment, Mose realized who exactly it was. And then the man said that the village had been attacked. Then everyone responded that the witnesses pointed to pickup artists. Then they began to suspect more and more that swordsmen had been hired to start the fire. Kay was angry that they were supposedly supposed to distract public attention from the production of the broom. Then Kia said that they shouldn't insult the swordsman. But the man replied that it was abnormal that swordsmen always use secret missions as cover, even if it cost them their reputation. Addressing those present, the man said that the perpetrators denied guilt only due to a lack of evidence, and then he demanded that they be brought to trial. But suddenly Mose turned around and wondered what was going on. He was angry that they had already been sentenced. Then suddenly someone said that the elders had no evidence. The guy asked if they thought the matter was settled, just because they had discussed it among themselves. The guy was a little indignant that everyone had forgotten about the order of things. Looking at the guy, Mose saw that he was level 211. The investigator said that after reviewing the case, he decided that a thorough investigation was required. Afterwards, the guy said that it was too early to pass judgment. Mose immediately noticed that the atmosphere in the room changed with his appearance. Mose wondered about this guy's level and position. It was unlikely that he was an ordinary person, but it was unclear why he was helping them. But the foreman continued to be indignant that they had grounds for accusation. Zyke then asked Kay if they could provide evidence. But the foreman was indignant that their actions already confirmed their guilt. But as if ignoring it, Zeke asked if the swordsmen were currently on vacation. Then the guy asked if it was customary to participate in a fire on your day off. Kia admitted that her close friend had suffered because of the vein, so she began her own investigation. She also learned that the two guilds were collaborating with each other. They decided to talk to the director of the pickup artists, and at that moment, they learned about the fire. But they couldn't provide evidence, because everything burned down. But the foreman chuckled that they had no evidence, because it was a fabrication. Tired of his voice, Zeke asked the foreman to be quiet. And then he said that the matter was serious, so they would not jump to conclusions. He also contacted a special investigator and learned that no investigation had been conducted. So he suggested that everyone start from the very beginning. At that moment, the foreman could no longer object to the investigator. Then Kay and Mose were told to head to the Azurus Investigation Guild. But suddenly someone objected to this. And the next moment smiles appeared on the faces of our heroes. Then Lorad introduced himself to everyone and said that he had been kidnapped by the director of the Pickup Artists Guild. Lorad wanted to share valuable evidence. At that moment, everyone was very surprised by this. But confidence was visible in the dwarf's gloomy face. Upon hearing about the special evidence, everyone present in the room began to whisper. Then the foreman got angry and told Lorad that he was late for the court hearing. However, Lorad seemed to ignore those words. And then he showed everyone the mark on his neck. Zyke immediately recognized the memory crystal. He instantly recognized Lorad, who confirmed that his contribution to the Lonbest tribe's war was appreciated. He admitted that he installed this crystal to work for intelligence. As soon as he touched the crystal, it began to emit a lot of light. Hearing a voice, Kea seemed to recognize it. And then everyone in the room was shocked to hear the voice of the pickup artist director, who said that one of the elders was on their side. But upon hearing this, the foreman only became indignant. When the voice announced that the senior Bolot would be in charge of the investigation, everyone looked at the man. And while people continued to listen to the strange voice, the hall was filled with silence. Lorad said he recorded this when he was kidnapped. He admitted that he was kidnapped as revenge for his friends starting an investigation. The foreman was angry to hear that the dwarf had managed to escape the fire alive. But suddenly someone said that things wouldn't work out that way. Zyke asked the elder if he intended to destroy the beautiful city of Azkarus. At that moment, the foreman wanted to say something in response, but he didn't have time. Because the next moment, Zeke was right in front of him. Zyke said there had been many casualties and deaths due to drugs, but more victims were expected. He asked the elder if he was involved in this. And without waiting for an answer, Zeke promised to do everything to get him put behind bars. And all the guards and military personnel involved will also go there. Afterwards, Zeke turned to the hall. Mose and Kaya tensed as their eyes met. And at that moment, a kind smile appeared on the guy's face. Returning to them, Zeke apologized for not immediately recognizing the heroes of Azkarus. Suddenly he fell silent and thought about something. And the next moment he announced that, on behalf of all the elders, he was closing this case. Hearing this, Kay and Mose couldn't help but rejoice. And then Kaya turned to her friend and sincerely thanked him for his help. At that moment, Zeke declared the two martyrs to be heroes who had contributed the most to this cause. When light appeared under Moses' feet, he was surprised. His level and popularity increased, and he also received a new title and a secret quest. He was delighted that the simple missions he had completed had produced amazing results. Following the incident, an article appeared on the game's forum in the IPP section. Incidents and Events. The article about Mose destroying 2 guilds was so popular that the site crashed, and a moderator had to delete it. Soon after, a large crowd of people gathered in the square. Mose thanked everyone for being kind to him, but the inhabitants were very grateful to Mose and did not know how to thank him. Everyone apologized for treating the guy badly, despite his good deeds, and as an apology, the elders of Ascaris prepared a gift for him. Only elders could possess this thing, and even though the elder Bolot touched it, this did not in any way diminish the sanctity of the relic. Mosey was delighted when he saw the teleportation stone, but the elders considered it a small gift, because Mose did much more for them. Mose bowed in respect and said he was honored. After that, everyone said goodbye to Mose, and having climbed onto his ship, our hero was ready to set off on his journey. But from the window, he and Kea continued to watch the elders, and in a good mood, our heroes looked at each other. At the same time, someone was fighting for his life. However, the swordsman could not stand against the master. At that moment, the other 2 swordsmen bowed before the man, and then the master said that the immortal became a swordsman, and immediately they moved on, because they still had a lot to do. However, at that moment, Sharon was being held captive by someone, and the man who was in captivity knew that he was hated, but the guy was still surprised by how it all happened. Moreover, Kellyan was hidden in a white tower, and yet he didn't understand whether anyone would be able to find them. However, all hope now lay with Mose. At that time, the guy was thinking about something. Kea asked the guy where they would go now, but at that moment, Kea heard about Sharon. Mose said he hadn't been able to contact her since she disappeared with that mage. Mosey could contact the player if he was in that area, but there was only one place on the entire map that Mose hadn't been to yet. It was Tikris, a city of entertainment and gambling, but there was a hidden side to it too. Mosey instantly saved the coordinates of the location of Tikris Harbor. He noticed that the ships here were so luxurious that his own paled in comparison. Suddenly he heard screams behind him. People were horrified that they had lost all their savings. Mose watched people lose money gambling. Everyone tensed up because Lorad had mentioned it. This city was beautiful, but at the same time very cruel. Suddenly someone joyfully greeted the travelers. The creature in front of them introduced himself as Foshi, and he was a guide in this world. And after he said that they could try to win the Ormacon. Mose was very surprised when he heard this. But Foshi said there was no point in playing just for that sake, because there was much more meaning to be found here. At that moment, Mose and Kay exchanged glances, and then Kay noticed the condition of Foshi's paws. She immediately asked to give her 10 tokens. Having said that he would bring them now, the little animal immediately began to run away. Mose was surprised by her desire to play, and she said that it was possible to try. And then she said that Limpu children were exploited here. Hearing this, Mose tensed up. There was no alternative, so the Limps could not count on normal operation. They were like half-elves who were sent to gladiatorial fights as soon as they could walk. When Foshi returned, he gave the tokens to Kay. He was about to leave, but suddenly Mose stopped him. Then the guy decided to give Foshi the coin. Seeing it, Limpu was very surprised that they were giving it to him for free. Mose said it was a gift for his warmth and kindness. Foshi continued to look at the coin and did not answer for a while due to surprise. And then he thanked me and said that he would now be able to pay for his younger brother's treatment. He bowed, expressing gratitude and respect to Mose. And after that, he happily ran away from them. Then Mose and Kay were ready to continue their journey. Mose soon lost everything, but he was not upset. At that moment, they had already approached the Tikris Information Guild. Someone greeted them and asked if they had contacted them recently. Without waiting for an answer, the guy immediately decided to move those who had arrived to the designated room. At that moment, Mose and Kay saw a light beneath their feet, and the next moment they found themselves in the right room. Immediately after that, they turned in the direction from which someone's voice was coming. In front of them was Viren, who was the head of the Information Guild. While they were bowing to him, the man asked if they were looking for someone, and Kia replied that they needed an immortal mage and archer. Viren replied that the immortal mage was a rare specimen, but he had heard of someone who fit the description. Only one player came to mind, Kellyan. The man then added that immortals were not initially welcome in the tower. However, Kellyan threw off his status as a player and began to behave exactly like them. Hearing that many magicians disliked him because of this, Mose asked what the boy had done. Viren replied that he was quite capable of finding out where the guy was now. But first he wanted to ask for a favor. But upon hearing this, Mose and Kay became outraged. Kia said that the Information Guild was supposed to disseminate information freely, but Viren said that this information was too special, and he would be grateful if they would help him with payment. After this, Mose agreed to listen to him. Viren said that not far from here there was Mount Malik, and in it there were ancient ruins, which were called the Olive Pass. And Mose was required to destroy all the ghosts that were there. But according to Viren, a sword without magic will be enough. Since the preparations were complete, Viren only asked to show his skills and abilities. Kia didn't understand why the guild was setting conditions for them and telling them they couldn't waste their time on this. But then Mose asked what would be wrong if they agreed. Mosey thought it was more interesting than simply returning to Aspargan to his duties as a swordsman. But suddenly Kea interrupted the guy. Her sudden tone of voice made Mose tense. Kea reminded him that she and Sharon were on the same team, and would he really not care what happened to her just because he was immortal? Mose thought about her question. He realized that he had said something that only a player could say, even though for Kei, this world was real. Mario was an ordinary guy, but in the game he was the #1 ranker, and gradually the gap between his two personalities only grew wider. Kea said that Mose was at least different from other immortals. After all, he was almost the only one who empathized with them. But he remained immortal, which meant that he could one day adopt the usual attitude towards this world. But Kea would like him to always remain the same. Mose felt a little sad to hear her say that. But then he confidently raised his head up. Taking Kei's hand, he agreed that he and Sharon were partners and should help each other. And then he promised Kei to remain the same Mose. Continuing to walk forward along the street, suddenly Kei and Mose were surprised. In the middle of the street between the houses, they noticed Foshi. Walking up to him, Kea smiled and asked if he was going home. But when he turned around, Kea saw that he was wounded. Concerned, the girl asked what had happened to him. Calmly, Mose asked to tell him what had happened. However, Foshi did not dare tell them. He pursed his lips and hesitated for a few moments before speaking. It turns out that Shayaman took his coin, although Foshi said that he did not steal it, but earned it. But despite this, he was told that he should be sacrificed to the Olive Pass. Upon hearing this, Mose and Kei immediately became interested. Soon they came to the right place, where there were a lot of guards. Because there were many guards, they guessed that Shayaman was most likely here. However, Mose didn't care about these guards. Shayaman demanded to bring a person who would be of some use. He asked to make sure that the new one would not die in 1 minute, like the previous one. While he was going down the stairs, Mose and Kei were hiding. He also talked about the need to spread rumors about 10 Ormacons in those machines, so that people would put all their money there. Hearing that the conversation turned to Foshi and the desire to punish him, our heroes tensed up. At that moment, Kea rushed forward. Hearing something, Shayaman turned around. And then he noticed that Kea was swinging at him. Before he could react, he took the blow to the face. And then he fell back. He immediately grabbed the sore spot and asked what was happening. When he started calling the guards, Kea was surprised. After all, there were no more guards. With a sweet smile, she said that everyone had run away or fallen asleep. When Kea started beating the man, Mose chose not to interfere. Afterwards, the girl apologized for having to let off steam. And then she suggested going to chat with a man. They demanded to know what had happened at the Olive Pass. But after what happened, Shayaman refused to talk. But seeing that Kei wanted to beat him again, he agreed to talk. Shayaman admitted that there was a gambling area there. He said that on that pass, people played with ghosts. The Silver Cat Society included the city's nobility, and the necromancer they hired was able to send a ghost to that pass. That ghost lured warriors and immortals into battle, promising a large sum in case of victory. But Shayaman knew that no one could stand against that ghost for even 3 minutes. Kea demanded to know how many he had sent to their deaths for money. But the man replied that tomorrow the strongest of the immortals would fight the ghost. Then Mose realized how this was connected to the Information Guild. But Kea was angry that the guild was in league with them. Seeing the girl's anger, Shayaman asked not to kill him. But Mose stopped her, because there was no point in getting her hands dirty. He asked what people would say if they found out there were no Ormacons in the machines. It made sense, but Kea knew she could still beat Shayaman. But at that very moment they decided to move forward. And Viren should have regretted dragging Mose into this. Olentori was a huge library, but it was secret. Mose still had half a day before leaving for the pass. Mose suggested that they go together, but she refused, because the stone was given only to Mose. But she asked me to find her 1 book. Kei was delighted when Mose agreed to this, and the guy could get there with the help of the stone given to him. He created a portal through which Mose passed. His gaze immediately became interested. He was delighted with the large library. At that moment, Mose discovered a hidden quest. It was about the man who forged Mose's swords. He immediately wanted to find this man. Then Mose asked Siri for help, but there was silence in response. Mose wasn't thrilled. After all, this meant that he had to walk around the huge library on his own. When he got tired, he began to think that this game was idiotic. But he was reassured by the fact that the books were arranged in sections. He also boasted of his endless stamina. Afterwards, he took another book, and suddenly his gaze was filled with surprise. Finally, he found the diary of a humble blacksmith. Having received 5 quests, Mose was even more surprised. And then he noticed a quest that was connected with the Olive Pass. He couldn't be happier with his luck. Mose was grateful to Key for taking his arrogance down a notch. At that moment, he thought he was on the right track. He was able to return soon after. But Mose didn't notice Kay. Then he had to look around the room to find her. Most likely she fell asleep while waiting for the guy. But Mose thought she might lie down on the bed. He watched the sleeping girl for a while. This embarrassed the guy a little. In fact, he was sure that he liked Kay. But since they were from different worlds, Mose wasn't sure if he could reveal his feelings to her. He remained silent the whole time, because demanding an answer from her would have been selfish. But the reason for this unrest was that he took this world seriously. At that moment, Kaya spoke to him. Getting up, she said that it was worth waking her up. Then Mose gave her the book. She was delighted because it was the first time she held this book. Then she thanked Mose. She was glad that he was her friend. When the sun set, it was time to move out. However, Moses had a tough time in the fight. Despite this, the crowd was delighted. But Kaya was worried about Mose. Moose was told that no matter how good he was, he couldn't win. After all, it seemed like his opponent was on a different level. Despite this, Mose was not about to give up. Before the fight, everyone was in anticipation. Guests were treated with respect, and one by one they passed through the barrier. Virens was also among them. They noticed him, and that they were letting people in wearing cat masks. Mose knew the guests had come to place bets. Then they decided that Kay would get the mask and blend in with the crowd. Suddenly, for one guest, he became her target. He didn't have time to react to the girl's blow, and soon she was able to take his clothes. But Kaya was surprised by the request to put 100 ormacons on him. She doubted they could supply that much. But Mose asked if he would lose. Kaya was a little surprised by this question. But she smiled and said that he would definitely win. Mosey asked them to believe in him, because there was a way to win. The masked man was surprised when he saw someone, but he pretended not to know Mose, and then the man said that Mose would come out in the order of his turn. Meanwhile, the hall was already full of people. Kia was also hiding among them, and the presenter greeted the audience. He promised a fantastic fight today. The evil spirit had 31 victories to his credit. It turned out that it was the soul of a swordsman who once dozed off on this pass. And then he decided to greet the second participant. He was a great archer, immortal. Mose was surprised that the other fighters were also players. But Mose knew that if the spirit had not lost the battle, then the battle would be difficult. The archer decided not to waste time and attack immediately. However, the opponent easily parried his arrows, and then he released his sword into battle. Mose was surprised to see one of the engraved blades, but the big archer was in shock. At that very moment, the evil spirit struck him down. Mose immediately realized that things were bad, and by dying, the archer deceived the crowd's expectations. Immediately, his body began to slowly disappear. The victory of the evil spirit was immediately declared. The spectators chuckled at the archer's foolish hopes of victory. Kia watched as everyone present laughed at this. The presenter mentioned that a couple of nobles had bet on him out of pity. At that moment, Kaya thought they were all crazy. But then Mose was preparing for battle. As he walked, he clenched his hand on his cloak, and after a quick movement, he took it off himself. The spectators were surprised that the swordsman took part in this. Kay was angry that no one would bet on Mose because he would most likely win, and they wouldn't make any money. Then she herself placed 100 ormacons. Everyone was surprised by her bet. The presenter also became a little quiet because of this. However, a smile appeared on Mose's face at this. It turned out that Mose was also wearing an important pendant. Kay's decision attracted public attention. Immediately, everyone started whispering about it. But the presenter chuckled at the fact that she wasn't afraid to take risks. At that very moment, the fight began. The evil spirit decided to attack first, but Mose was calm and summoned his sword. This made it possible to block the enemy attack. Mose used a similar skill, so the presenter found it fascinating. After that, his swords immediately aimed at the enemy, but suddenly the spirit simply disappeared. And then he appeared behind Mose. At that moment, the guy was unable to dodge the attack. Mosey then realized that physical attacks weren't working on the enemy, but after the blow, Mose was able to survive. The evil spirit continued to attack without stopping, but Mose sent his swords into battle. After that, only the sound of the swords clashing could be heard. Mosey understood that only his skill could stop the spirit's attack, but since swords were mainly designed for thrusting, he was left to defend himself. In such conditions, it was impossible to defeat the ghost by pure force. Mosey remembered that Lyro gained respect not because of his strength, but because of his artifacts. Items found in the ruins could be enclosed in a sphere, and perhaps the same could be done with this spirit. However, Mose continued to be harassed. To carry out his plan, he needed to get close to the evil spirit. The presenter smiled and asked if everything was okay. Then Kaya began to worry about her friend. And Mose decided to focus on the sword, not the ghost. But the evil spirit thrust his sword forward. And then he waved his hand to the side. And quickly he disrupted the trajectory of Mose's swords. Mosey tensed as he saw the blow coming. And the next moment his blood was spilled. Unable to resist, Kaya jumped out of her seat. And the evil spirit raised his hand. The sword rose high into the sky and was aimed at Mose. At that moment, Mose knew what to do to stop the sword for sure. He needed to let the sword penetrate the body. At that moment, he was able to grab the sword with his hand. And then Mose used the skill of successful destruction. At that moment, a bright light appeared in the arena. Everyone watched what was happening in surprise. And when the cloud of dust cleared, they saw Mose. The evil spirit began to disintegrate and thanked Mose. After this, the guy finally exhaled. In his hands was a sphere, into which he placed the sword. And when he raised his hand, his victory was obvious to everyone. The host was delighted that Mose had won, which could not be said about the people who lost their money. Then the host remembered the man who bet on Mose. Then Key was told her winnings, almost 250 ormacons. The host expected that there would be guests with such large stakes. When the sun rose, Kay's victim was still unconscious. But the presenter did not understand why the member of society was lying on the ground. Only then did it become clear that the man with the big stake was an imposter. The victory after the fight was impressive. Kia asked what kind of magic Mose had, but he said it was a gamble, and he could have died. Smiling, Kia suggested going to the vending machines, but Mose refused. Soon the contents of the bag were scattered. When the Information Guild learned of Cheyenne and Verine's deeds, they placed bounties on their heads, but the criminals were able to cover their tracks. The Silver Cat Society was also not investigated. Soon our heroes met with the head of the Information Guild. They wanted to know something from him. Then Mose said that he was looking for two immortals, and Raren immediately guessed who they were talking about. It turned out that inside the White Tower, they noticed traces of a spell that hid the teleport coordinates. Mose guessed that Kellyan could have been kidnapped right during the teleportation. But these were just guesses, although if a murder had taken place inside the tower, it would have been known by now. While Sharon was unconscious, someone was talking in the room. Since Kellyan woke up, they decided to talk to him first. The beaten guy could only wait to see what they decided to do with him. Kellyan was sure that he wanted to teleport to Toika space then. But immediately after the move, he realized that he had ended up in a different place. At that time, he didn't notice that they were being attacked from behind. Kellyan asked to stop, promising that he would not say anything. But this only made Hospoya angry, and then he attacked Kellyan. While he was in pain, the blonde called the guy impudent. And then he decided to teach a lesson, showing that pride is a sin. Then Kellyan felt another blow. It was obvious that he enjoyed tormenting the magician. And Kellyan had even more damage. At some point, the guy's body suddenly weakened. But Hospoy was sure that at most he had broken a rib. Kellyan knew that if he couldn't deal with them, then harm would come to Sharon. At that moment, he asked if they were afraid that he would die. He said that they dreamed of catching up with him, because they themselves were worthless. They studied according to the same program, so they have only themselves to blame for their failure. And they were not afraid to mock him, because he was immortal. The guy said that they were disgracing the name of the White Tower, but Hospoy smiled at his ability to speak beautifully. After all, during his studies, Kellyan used to talk nonsense to his teachers. Hospoy believed that if the commission had known that Kellyan was immortal, they would not have given him the title of magician. Afterwards, he slapped the guy. Then the blonde decided to tell about their plan. When the conversation turned to Sharon, Kellyan tensed up. He objected that the girl had nothing to do with it. The guy was horrified by the mention that there was a laboratory with homunculi in the basement, and since the girl was immortal, she had to endure experiments. Hospoy believed that this would make their final work excellent. Moreover, this will help them to obtain the title of magicians. Suddenly they asked to bring something, while Kellyan was perplexed. Seeing something that could open a passage to another dimension, Kellyan thought they were crazy. The Hospoy said that no one knew what would happen if they tried to get into the world of immortals. The blonde wanted to take a step into the unknown, but suddenly Kellyan saw some message. A secret quest had been activated. Soon Mose and Kay were in the city center. Kia was amazed by the specific architecture, but Mose was interested in what was around the fountain. Then he noticed that people were disappearing, and suddenly someone whispered that this was a detour. Frightened, Mose recoiled from the boy. Seeing that guy, Kay also got scared, but he replied that the Information Guild had sent him to help them. Before them was Zaire, the Inquisitor. He said the guild had referred him because they had been hard to find lately. The guy immediately asked to follow him. But Mose immediately realized that this guy was comparable in strength to Lydorn. But Mose doubted that the guy was really from the Information Guild. The guy apologized for his haste and said that he was still studying. It turned out that this guy was a homunculus that was created in the White Tower, and the mark on his face was proof. He said that creating artificial life was not easy, but magicians could do it. The guy explained that the bypasses were part of the city's infrastructure. He hoped that if he became their guide, their doubts would be dispelled. Everyone agreed, so they got down to business. And the next moment they moved to another place. The guy immediately said that the golden head of the guild was waiting for them. The person they met confirmed that someone had teleported into the tower. But Mose mentioned that it was impossible to get inside. He was told that the territory was controlled by mages, so the guild could not interfere. Zaire compared it to a swordsman's shrine. The tower could only be entered by passing the test of the magicians. After this, the guild leader stood up and headed somewhere, and Zaire said that something could still be done. He said that money opened all doors. Then Mose asked why the chief said there was no way to get inside. Zaire replied that it was extremely difficult in the territory of the magicians, and he was here to help them get in there unofficially. The guy contacted someone and asked for help. He conveyed that he would like to introduce the man to a magician. A meeting for this was immediately scheduled. And standing up, Zaire called them to meet the magician who would become their key. The guy said that it was important for them to understand that they needed to get out of the spatial stone zone. Suddenly someone's loud voices were heard. Hearing the discontent about the immortals, Zaire put a hood on Mose. In the streets, people demanded that the immortals leave their world. They wanted to drive them out of their world. Mose guessed that those people were Litter Knights, but suddenly Mose was stunned. People followed Lidorn's will, and their strength grew day by day. Mose should have gone into hiding because he killed Lidorn. Zaire suggested they go somewhere else before they got into trouble. As he left, Muzu felt a heavy burden on his soul. And after that, Kea asked if he was okay.